all troubles happen because of love. Who said? It doesn't matter, it's some kind of classic. Another classic said that every family is unhappy in its own way. It is not quoted very correctly, but it is accurate in meaning. In no way did these classics concern Ellie. Her family is happy, and her love has been tested over the years and is unshakable. Pablo maintained decorum. He did not advertise his mistresses, and he always came to significant events with his wife. Well, everyone knew his loving style, but perhaps the wife was not aware of every young and pretty mistress. He immediately explained that there was no need to make plans for a life together. I'll give you money, but I won't leave my family. Not satisfied? Please leave. Not a single one left on her own. Pablo has a clear formula in his head: money equals love. I forgot that once there was no money, but there was Ellie. There was happiness, there was love. Remnants of memories still lived. There is no other way to explain his categorical reluctance to exchange his old wife for a new, fantastically beautiful mistress. Why did he need these greedy, absolutely insincere girls? I didn't understand it myself, and I don't need it. Well, that's how it's supposed to be. He couldn't imagine his life without Ellie, and this is either for the sake of image or out of fear of approaching old age. The midlife crisis is evident. He was sure since he had money, everyone would always love him, Ellie and everyone else. Ellie knew nothing about her husband's affairs and never put money on the same level with love. They lived together for 15 years, and not for a moment did Ellie doubt that something was wrong in the family. The girlfriends managed to get married 3 times, scolding their husbands in vain. Ellie was confident in the strength of her family. Maybe love is no longer so burning, but it hasn't gone away. Even if I heard some rumors, I considered them to be envious people, dirty tricks, and turned a deaf ear. There was a time when Ellie dreamed of a child, but Pablo said something like, "I don't want to share you with anyone. Now is not the time. We'll have time," and Ellie did not insist. Not to say that she suffered about this. So slight regrets. It is believed that every woman dreams of a child. Ellie, either not everyone, or the maternal instinct was fast asleep and did not wake up. But she did not experience any tenderness at the sight of babies. Officially, Irene worked as an accountant in her husband's company, but she appeared in the office a couple of times a month, worked from home, did not agree to housekeepers and cleaners, and did everything around the house herself. Pablo tried to reason with his wife, saying, "Why wash the floors yourself and hang around in the kitchen for 12 hours?" But she was categorical. In the family, the wife should wash, do laundry, and cook. The family is small, not 7 children. Your job is to earn money, so go and earn it. Pablo, why are you silent about your anniversary? Are we celebrating or what? Don't get away with it. The whole office is on edge. Surprises, gifts. Nobody is working. Everyone is in anticipation. Ellie, maybe you can at least explain to them that they don't celebrate 40 years. They won't believe it. I really want a holiday. You are a young and progressive boss, and here there is some kind of superstition. Don't take away the people's holiday. What about your bosom friends? They won't forgive. Alex, of course, will come with Helga. But Michael is looking for a candidate for his 3rd wife. For him, your holiday is a reason to spend the evening in the company of pretty girls. In your office, one is more beautiful than the other. Do you select them, as in show business, by leg length? To be honest, I already booked the restaurant. Are you going to scold? How would I live without you? He didn't intend to live without Ellie Pablo, but he changed his mistress a couple of months before the anniversary. The girl Anne was young, pretty, provincial, absolutely the same as all the previous mistresses of Pablo. Why did he always change one identical one for another? He couldn't say it himself. The girls were like carbon copies, no different from each other. Everyone came to the big city in the hope of picking up rich men. Everyone thought Pablo was a lucky trophy. To her, like to everyone else, Pablo, without ceremony, sharply and clearly explained that she would not become a wife. If he behaves correctly, he will remain as his mistress longer, with all the pleasant bonuses that come with it. It seems that she understood and even agreed. Underestimated Pablo Anne. She decided to get her hands on Pablo at any cost. She has enough courage and arrogance, and she is more cunning than all the previous ones. But my wife lived with him for 15 years and took full advantage of him. It's time to move on. We know about your quirk. I won't leave my family. Quit. The main thing is to behave correctly. He said it himself. If everything were fine, I wouldn't be running around with mistresses. This means there is something to grab onto. A wife cannot not know that her husband is walking. It would be nice just once, you might not even notice. That's how it's put on stream here continuously. All of Pablo's previous mistresses chose the wrong tactics. They tried to force Pablo to leave his wife with passion and beauty. He, of course, did not care about their charms, but rightly believed that this goodness would be enough for his lifetime. And there is a magnificent wife, devoted and faithful, especially compared to these mercantile girls. He's lucky he won't meet another Ellie. Not one of these narrow-minded man-hunters realized that it was not Pablo who needed to be taken away from the family. It is necessary for his incomparable wife, Lady Perfection, to kick Pablo out herself. How to do it? Anne will figure it out. She's a smart girl, she'll figure out how to hit harder. That's for sure. The main thing is that Pablo doesn't realize that this is her doing. Otherwise, she won't see him, and she won't get into more trouble. Ellie and Pablo had few friends, but they were long-standing and resilient. They all studied at the same institute. The 5 of them always and everywhere went: Pablo, Alex, Michael, Ellie, and Helga. Student life was stormy. We managed to study, but not always. Passions were also boiling inside the small company. Pablo and Ellie immediately began a youthful, all-consuming romance. Love, like in the movies, is sincere and forever. The girls from the course sighed and were jealous, but they didn't even try to fight off Pablo. We're there. He looks with admiration. She melts with love. It happens like this. We met in our first year, and all our studies together. After graduation, they will get married immediately. They will love each other all their lives. Maybe they'll die one day. This seems to be the formula for happiness. The girls really wanted it to be like this for them, but such happiness did not happen. But the example of Irene and Pablo gave hope that they too would have their fairy tale. Even though they are adults, they still believe in fairy tales. Well, everyone knows that for every Cinderella there will certainly be a handsome noble prince. If everything was predictable with Ellie and Pablo, then the remaining trio, Alex, Michael, and Helga, were completely confused in their relationships. Both looked after her, but she, like a knight at a crossroads, could not decide which way to go. For family life, Alex has no competition. Loyal and reasonable, with clear and true views on life. The main thing is that he is in love and doesn't want to see anyone but Helga. Michael is completely different, sparkling, emotions torn apart, lover of incredible surprises, handsome to the point of indecency, black curls, blue eyes, high texture. Girls fell in love in batches. He constantly found himself in passionate but short-lived romances. And then he crawled to Helga and begged with tears to save him from this worthless relationship, to give him a chance to be happy. Ellie tried to reason with her friend. Helga, are you like a cow on ice? You already decide where you are going with the smart one or the handsome one. Do you want some advice? Go, friend, do you know where to go with your advice? Do you think I don't understand? Marrying Alex is like winning a prize. There will be stability and a beautiful family life, just like in the pictures. And if it's Michael, the drive will be such that sparks will fly. Maybe a short family life, but with fireworks. You're lucky 2 in 1. And my soul is torn. I really want happiness. I understand. Yes, actually, I've already decided everything. I'm marrying Alex. And she married Michael. The marriage was as Helga dreamed, with feelings, sparks, and fireworks. 2 years later, the sparks flew in the wrong direction. To survive, I had to get a divorce. Helga scolded herself for not knowing how to live with her mind. It's all about feelings. How could she choose the uncontrollable Michael when the wonderful, madly in love Alex was nearby? Alex never disappeared. He came when Helga and Michael were still together. Then he called, but Helga was ashamed. She couldn't imagine what to say to him. I'm sorry I married your friend, Alex once said. I won't wait for your call. I will bother you. I won't beg for meetings. That's how boring and annoying I am. I won't let you marry anyone but me. Once I didn't resist, I lost, and you don't know what you're doing. You can't do without a smart guy. And I'm smart. You may have a different opinion, but trust me. At the beginning of this story, Helga and Alex had been together for 10 years. Alex adored his wife, and she was sure that she was living with a genius, and froze with delight as soon as he opened his mouth. Michael did not disappear from their lives. They remained friends. No one thought this was strange. When Helga was married to Michael, Alex went with his girlfriend. Now the roles have changed. Helga, looking at Michael, was perplexed. Did I really marry him? No, he's a distinguished man. It's clear what she fell for. It's clear where the feelings went. He can't hold a candle to my Alex. Where were my eyes? In short, the company did not collapse. Despite the turbulent personal lives of individuals, now they unanimously tried to arrange for friend Pablo his anniversary. There was everything: children's student photographs and favorite songs and jokes, incomprehensible to most of the guests, but delighting the hero of the day. At the height of the fun, when Pablo jumped onto the stage with a guitar and sang his favorite song, Ellie, a dark-haired, spectacular girl in a red dress, favorably emphasizing all the charms of her figure, entered the hall. It was Anne. Michael was the first to notice her. The eye will not miss such beauty. Who is she? Sideways, sideways. Pablo noticed a bright spot at the entrance, but the song carried him away. She looked at him with wet, admiring eyes. Pablo did not immediately realize that Anne had arrived. I didn't expect it at all. He categorically forbade her to appear here. When Anne complained that she wanted to wish her beloved a happy birthday, Pablo promised that they would definitely celebrate the holiday sometime later, and just the two of them. And today he didn't invite her here either. His family and friends are here, and she is here. Pablo was furious. How dare you? What kind of tricks? He finished the song, approached Irene, hugged and kissed. I'm away, be back soon. And walked around the hall, seeming to communicate with the guests. I approached Anne, who was flirting with Michael with all her might. Anne, by what miracle are you here? Can I see you for a minute? Later you return the girl. I'll be waiting. Wait, Michael. The girl is decent, smart. And what a beauty. You can wait for this one. Barely holding back, Pablo grabbed Anne harshly by the elbow, dragged her out of the hall, and dragged her down the stairs. Unable to stand on her high heels, Anne fell. He grabbed her roughly by the waist, lifted her to her feet, dragged her into the foyer, and pressed her against the wall. What are you doing here? Did I explain something unclear? Pablo, I didn't do anything. I didn't mean to approach you or your wife. I wanted to look at you. I've never seen you like this, in the company of friends. What's happened? Well, a girl came with one of the guests. At least with your friend Michael. Nobody paid attention. Do you think that no one noticed your strange behavior, similar to psychosis? And if someone sees how you pinned me against the wall, how will you explain? Pablo bounced away from Anne just in time. Michael stood at the top of the stairs. He didn't see Anne. It turned out that her courageous and powerful lover was not so flawless. I was scared almost to the point of hysteria. They say that women's logic is inexplicable, but at least it exists. What's here? Not even logic, just a stream of thought. There is no sense of reason here, pure instincts. Why a series of mistresses if you love your wife? And if you don't love, why are you so afraid of losing? But Anne had no intention of giving up. First she will catch up, and then she will see if she needs this goodness. There was excitement. Me too, arbiter of destinies, peak of evolution. Let's see how you get out. Even if the game ends in defeat, and she doesn't get the prize called Pablo, he will be able to fray his nerves. Ellie didn't notice any strange things at the anniversary, but I didn't see the girl in the red dress at all. She melted from the attention of her husband, who did not leave her side for a minute and showered her with compliments. Still, her Pablo is the best man in the world. I was lucky to get married and never regret it. There is such a faith it lives, does not notice anything around and is happy. What if he sees it? This is the collapse of entire family life, a catastrophe. May God let you stay alive. If Ellie didn't notice anything, then her mysterious friend Helga saw a lot of things, and the girl in the red dress, and the inappropriate behavior of Pablo. In addition, she, unlike his wife, was aware that Pablo was not an innocent boy at all. But she didn't say anything to Ellie. Still won't believe it. And I didn't want to go from friends to enemies. When she's really mad, she'll try to open her friend's eyes. Although what should happen for Ellie to not only believe, but at least begin to doubt that her husband is not an angel? A month later, the men got together to go fishing. Their tradition is that once a summer the whole group goes fishing. The wives don't expect fish, they warn you don't drag the store. But they don't object to men's desire to feel young and free. Let the men gossip to their heart's content. They just pretend that they don't need it. Pablo returned from fishing gloomier than a cloud. What's happened? We had a fight, or what? We haven't quarreled for 20 years, although everything happened. And now what? Ellie comes to him this way and that, but her husband is silent. Okay, he doesn't want to talk. We'll find out from other sources. Helga, you don't know what happened there. Didn't they divide the fish? Alex didn't tell you anything? He is silent, but he is silent meaningfully. You know, they film all their gatherings on video. They believe they are valuable to history. I'll copy it and bring it. We'll look at it together. I don't like this significant silence either. Wait, I'll be there in a couple of hours. During these couple of hours, Ellie was exhausted. What could have happened there? Well, they didn't kill someone. Helga will arrive now and bring a video. Two smart women will definitely figure out what's going on. If they don't understand something, they will still be able to explain to themselves that there is nothing to worry about. That's it. We're waiting. They sat and watched the recording. Pablo, Alex, his brother Igor. Portable barbecue. They grill kebabs, make faces, and talk. So far, there is only one question: why take meat for fishing? Michael, where? And here he is. His car pulls up. Michael takes him out of the car, offers his hand, and helps a pretty girl out. In general, as expected. Michael, in an active search, brought a girl into an all-male company. This is his style. At first, everything is fine. The guys eat barbecue and drink. Alex takes the guitar. The 80s disco begins. Then the camera somehow moves to the side, and Pablo and the girl are visible in the corner of the frame. Pablo angrily reprimands something to her, but she remains silent, just smiles. Helga, what is this? Why does Pablo treat Michael's girlfriend this way? In my opinion, everyone is not against the fact that a girl appeared in their company. Look, he's acting like a macho. What's wrong with Pablo? Ellie, don't you recognize this girl? No, should I? It wouldn't hurt. Was she at the anniversary? Of course you didn't see it. You don't even notice anything except your precious husband. Now I have a real threat to stop being your friend, but I can't remain silent any longer. This is Pablo's mistress. Well, she said. She knows Iron's reaction in advance. Now she will scream fiercely that they got her with their envy, and there is no better man than her Pablo. And you all climb. This is approximately what Iron said and added, I understand when those whose lives have not gone well climb. But where are you going? You know what love is. Or are you shifting your problems onto me? Is it Alex who has a mistress? Your second marriage is falling apart. You decided it's unfair that I'm happy. You know, friend, I don't want to see you anymore. I hoped it would work out, but no. Okay, I understand how you feel. You cross me out of your friends, but I don't. Sorry, but I couldn't remain silent any longer. When you cool down, call me. If you need help, come without calling. Wow, what did you come up with? Pablo's mistress. Whose idea came to this? The most offensive thing is that Helga talks about this. She doesn't pretend to be Pablo. She has her own prince. Is it really true? No, it can't be. She shouldn't have been a complete fool. She should have at least noticed something. It turns out that for so many years she lived in deception and did not notice, reveled in a happy life, and everyone around laughed and pitied the stupid woman. Enough. We need to find out which of this nonsense is true. Ellie didn't need this truth. It's unclear what to do with it. But if the seed of doubt is not destroyed, it will sprout and destroy the lives of Ellie and the whole family. It's time to find out the truth. Pablo came up with the idea himself. Suddenly, out of the blue, after a phone call, I rushed to work. And the day, by the way, is a day off. Ellie drove up to the office. Pablo's car was in the parking lot. Well, I came to work. What the hell is a mistress? Well, now that I've arrived, I need to come in. Suddenly, he saw her car through the window. Explain later what you did here. The office was empty. Heels hit the tiles. Pablo's secretary, Helen, jumped out of the side door. Oh, Ellie, and I think who walks here? Helen. Where is Pablo? So, it's a day off. No one is there. I just popped in for an hour. I need to prepare the documents by Monday. I saw a car in the parking lot. And I will be fired. For what? Valuable employee. You work on weekends. But if you don't tell me where Pablo is, they'll definitely fire you. I won't let you fire me. I like the way you work. Where's Pablo? There. Helen waved towards the balcony. The balcony was the pride of the office with panoramic glazing, a winter garden, and access to the park adjacent to the building. The employees liked to drink coffee and smoke there. It was especially pleasant in winter. Snow is falling behind the glass, and you are standing with a cup of coffee among the palm trees and in the warmth. And Irene went out onto the balcony and immediately saw her husband. The girl with the video was sitting on the bench. Pablo was kneeling in front of the camera and saying something excitedly. No words could be heard, but the speech was clearly passionate. The girl tried to get up, but Pablo wouldn't let her, grabbed her by the arms, and almost crawled after her. Lord, how painful it is. How can you live with this? Ellie's world collapsed. Its rubble buried love, family, and Ellie herself. She couldn't think about anything, turned and walked towards the exit. What to do here? She saw everything she needed. She will never be able to enter this balcony. Helen jumped out again at the sound of her heels. Ellie, have you found Pablo? Ellie, what will happen to me? Ellie didn't see or hear her. She went out, got into the car, and drove home. She didn't cry, didn't think, didn't seem to breathe. I sat on De Bruno E, holding my hands on my knees, and not a single thought. Then something clicked loudly in my head. The stupor subsided. She jumped up and began frantically throwing Pablo things out of the closet. There were many of them. The 2 suitcases found on the mezzanine did not fit. Ellie shook things out of her suitcase and began packing them in again. She understood that it was hysterical, but she could not do anything. Now you can't stop. You have to do something, otherwise he will cry, scream, scream. Pablo. He didn't come to spend the night. For the first time, Ellie thought it was. By the way, I couldn't sleep. But she calmed down. I thought a lot and decided that I needed to turn over this page of life as soon as possible. There was no strength to wait for Pablo to appear. He can show up in 3 days. And she called him at work. Pablo, could you come early today? Something happened? You can say so. I have a surprise for you. Yesterday I waited and waited, but you didn't come. I can't wait anymore. I'm already flying. When Pablo came home, Ellie was completely calm. True, the face was pale, waxy, like that of a dead person. But Pablo didn't notice. But he immediately noticed 2 suitcases by the door and tripped over them. He decided that guests had arrived. Is someone leaving? Who? Think about it. There are options? What kind of nonsense? Are you hinting at me? Yes, what hints? Yesterday I was in the office, standing on the balcony. I saw you in the park. Aaron, I don't want to go anywhere. I love you. Would you at least once ask me if I love you, but what to ask? This is an axiom. Do you have any doubt that loving you is the main goal of my life? What is there to talk about? Take your suitcases and leave. But I'm not going anywhere. What kind of stupidity is this? Not hot. You'll regret it. Go, Pablo, or are you suggesting that I leave right now? You can live a little, pack your things. But don't make a monster out of me. Ellie, I don't want to go anywhere. Well, what happened? It happens to everyone. But it didn't happen to me. Pablo was rushing at the door. His face was confused. He did not understand how to get out of the situation. He never intended to leave the family, because for so many years he got away with everything. Now what to do? Ever wondered what would happen if his wife found out about his mistress? Nothing will happen. He'll never know. I would like to. I found out a long time ago. Sometimes the thought flashed that Ellie knew. But she is silent. So everything is fine. It'll be this way forever. The option of leaving the family was never considered or calculated. Pablo was perplexed. How could this be? They kicked me out of the house. Okay, let him calm down. This is a demonstration performance. It's not going anywhere. Pablo took his suitcases and left the apartment. Anne, seeing Pablo with suitcases at the door, grinned. Now, the process has begun. Otherwise, I won't bring him in and won't marry him. And I didn't go to the hotel myself. Interesting. Everything is twisted in a fascinating way. Let's see, this is just the beginning. Pablo felt uncomfortable in Anne's house. It's one thing when you come for a couple of hours overnight. It's quite another to try to live together. Pablo kept remembering how skillfully Ellie made his life comfortable. She created comfort out of little things, protected her from problems at home, washed, cleaned, and prepared delicious dinners. Pablo, everything seemed to be done by itself. And it's not like Anne didn't do it at all. She didn't even intend to wash Pablo's shirts. You can eat in a restaurant. Nothing has changed in her life with the arrival of Pablo except for one thing. A month later, she realized that she and Pablo were mortally bored. There is no courage that was in their relationship. He works a lot and comes home tired and irritated. While I was a mistress, I at least gave gifts, but now I don't. He gives money for the household, and his ex-wife, like a ghost, stood between them. She's perfect, but Anne falls short. Pablo was irritated by everything. He broke down more and more often, lost his temper. He looked at me wrong, didn't do something, answered in the wrong tone. It would be better to remain silent altogether. No brains. Stop hanging around the bars. Take care of your home. Made a mess. More and more often the thought came to Anne's mind, why do I need this? This was not the kind of happiness she dreamed of. Being a mistress was even more pleasant. Maybe she's not fit for family life at all? The man is handsome and rich, but she wants to run away. Who should you marry then? Anne suffered a little longer, and then decided that's enough. Pablo is not her husband, and she has every right to kick him out of the house. He will buy himself an apartment or return to his ideal wife. Well, if she lets me in, of course. When she hinted that it was time for him to go home, he became furious. What kind of trash do you think you are? I picked you up, bought you an apartment, clothes, money. What were you missing? She got into my family and ruined everything. And now you're showing me the door. Do you know what happens to such bitches? They'll throw you out. Don't yell. Think about what you will be left with. You, Pablo, as a husband, turned out to be complete crap, and you are a lousy lover. Spent it, of course, but you have to pay for meanness. And you have accumulated so many bills that you have to pay and pay. So go to your ideal wife to lie at your feet. What if she forgives you? Although it's unlikely, you've messed up the most. Well, what a bitch. Ungrateful. Okay, I need to calm down. In the end, he himself already thought that it was time to run and return to Ellie. Old fool, life was boring. But now I had a lot of fun. Perhaps it's time to stop with my mistresses. Something called for a quiet life. The thought that Ellie might not forgive didn't even cross my mind. She, of course, will yell, then cry and forgive. And I'm probably already exhausted without him. So the main thing is to sincerely repent and ask for forgiveness. By the time her husband appeared, Ellie had already cried, her heart had recovered, and love and hatred had calmed down. Somehow suddenly she realized that she had no life. She had love and family, but her own life did not exist. Dissolved into Pablo, lived as he wanted, worked where he said. I didn't even give birth to a child because he decided so. It's not that she didn't know about his mistresses. She didn't want to know. Like an ostrich, she hid her head in the sand. Now she suddenly asked, what do I want? She couldn't answer this question, yet she wasn't used to thinking about her desires. But to the question, what don't I want, already answered. She didn't want to forgive, and oddly enough, didn't want Pablo to return. It was at that moment that he returned. He stood a little shabby, with a touch of sadness and fatigue, so beautiful and dear, and all of him. A month ago, Ellie would have burst into tears, thrown herself on his neck, forgiven everything, and continued to serve faithfully. But then Pablo did not return. And now it seemed to Ellie that he was somehow unnatural. The sadness in the eyes is insincere, the trembling in the voice is feigned. Ellie, forgive me. I didn't think it would work out like this. How? What do I find out about your lovers? That's bad luck. Of course I didn't think about it. What should I think about? I didn't think, I didn't feel, and I didn't notice. I love you. Why do I need such love? How many years of lies and betrayal? I knew that I couldn't live without you. I couldn't breathe. Why are you doing this to me? For love and loyalty. Go with your love. Better nothing than this. Pablo was taken aback. I couldn't even find what to say. I was counting on quick forgiveness, but I ran into sincere hatred. He did not expect such a storm of emotions from his loving, always submissive wife. Yes, there will be no quick reconciliation. I might have to leave. But it's okay, she'll live alone, come to her senses, and he'll show generosity and come back. When the door closed behind Pablo, Ellie couldn't even get to the room. She slid down the wall and burst into tears. I have never felt so painful and sad in my life. She sobbed and howled. Why is that? For what? How to live with all this now? Alone, all alone, there is nowhere to dump this terrible melancholy. No kitten, no child. She offended her best friend to death. What a thought. We need to go and make peace with Helga. It's not in her position to throw away her loved ones. She was still a little sad. It seemed to feel better, and I went to see a friend. Ashamed. First she sent her to hell, but now she's going to heal her soul. Well, this is the fate of friends, to wipe away snot and assent, saying you're right, you're right, you're right, you're always right in everything. What she's doing wrong, she'll tell you later, but first she'll console you. Iron rang the doorbell, worried about how she would greet her. Well, he won't kick you out. Compared to Ellie, who was thinner and had eyes swollen from tears, Helga seemed especially young and energetic. Ellie started babbling something like, "Sorry, I was a fool." Helga didn't listen. She hugged me and took her into the house. Right at Ellie's doorstep, twin 3-year-old boys almost knocked her down. They had a fun activity. They caught a lapdog, which started barking and ran around all the rooms. Their nanny Zoe was running after the twins. This woman, about 50 years old, was a nanny, a housekeeper, and a cook. In this family she was everything. Helga never called her housekeeper, only by her first name. She considered her family and seemed to have forgotten that she worked for them and received a salary. "Helga, I'll catch them both now. Save Bulka and set the table." "Zoe, we ourselves will sit in the kitchen. We need to gossip." Ellie had tears in her eyes again. It could have been like this for her too. But she didn't live. It was as if she was writing a draft. I thought I would have time to rewrite it. Did not make it. "Let's go to the kitchen. We'll cry there. How passionately you want to drink and eat." "I don't drink, but I have to." In the kitchen, Helga reached into Nina's bins. She always has something to drink and something to snack on. So the truffles and oysters suddenly ran out. Helga put salad, meat dishes, and greens on the table. "Why are you silent? Come on, tell me, we'll think about it." Ellie talked about her mistress, how she exposed Pablo, how she didn't sleep at night, how many things she changed her mind about. Helga poured wine into the glass. This helped Ellie describe her suffering especially colorfully. Ellie was crying again. Helga sniffled too. "Do you think I'm crying because of Pablo? I didn't give a damn about him. I mourned my failed life he betrayed and lied for so many years. And I was like a chicken around him, plowing and cackling. Maybe it's not so scary? He himself is probably not happy that this happened. He stumbled, repented, and doesn't deserve any leniency at all? Yes, what condescension. He stumbled like that how many times? 5, 10? You can't imagine how disgusting it is. I can really imagine it. This is not the first time I've been married, but I won't bother about it either. Let's be honest, you and I are not at that age to prove our importance in bed. We take others. Competing with young people in this regard is not for us, I'm sure. But you didn't doubt your husband either? Maybe I'm also a stupid chicken if he cheats on me? I prefer never to find out about it. If I find out, I'll have to get a divorce. Don't listen to repentance. This is his way of testing the waters. That's right, girlfriend. This is not forgiven. There's no pretending here. There will be no life anyway. You know, Ellie, get Pablo out of your life. It will fly out of your head on its own. It's a shame that so many years have passed. Well, let him live with the young, stupid, and arrogant. That's what he wanted. Don't take someone else's place. Don't waste their time or yours. Are you hinting at age again? Of course not. The friends talked for a long time and came to the conclusion that they would go together to relax in the nearest village. Ellie left her friend with the confidence that divorce is normal. Starting over is also okay. Even being alone is normal, but staying where you are unhappy and with someone who doesn't appreciate you is not normal. As they say at 40, life just begins. I'll have to check. One afternoon, Helga called. "Ellie, today we'll go to the dacha. Now I'll wait for Alex and come for you." As today? I am not ready. What do you mean, not ready? Didn't have time to pop into the beauty salon? Zoe baked pies for us, marinated the meat, and smoked the fish. In short, I've already filled 2 baskets. I said until we eat, we won't come back. And she says so slyly, "I'm counting on that wait. I'll be there soon. I'll take Bulka with me. Let her take a break from the kids. She's also stressed." We got home without traffic jams, quickly, cheerfully, and with songs. The dog kept climbing out the window. She liked the way the wind climbed into her mouth, moving her cheeks from the inside and her curls from the outside. The blonde only needed a pink scarf. Neither give nor take, Hollywood star. For some reason, Helga's dacha was hung with lead strips and garlands with small light bulbs. What kind of New Year is this? And here he is. We celebrated New Year here. Too lazy to clean up. And why? It can be useful. The house was small, but on 2 floors. On the first there is a kitchen and a living room. On the second there are 2 small bedrooms for unexpected guests. Brunos were laid out in the living room. But in the summer, both owners and guests only came into the house to spend the night. And then only those who did not have time to stake out a place slept on the veranda. The veranda was luxurious, 30 meters high, with railings, with exits to the garden on both sides, a kitchen, comfortable Bruno chairs, and a huge table, which is so pleasant to sit at after a shower. All dacha life took place on the veranda, at tables with a kettle and songs. And now Helga and Ellie came into the house, just to put food in the refrigerator, and settled down on the veranda. The sun was setting. The garden was transparent and orange. Peace, peace, complete relaxation. I don't want to think about anything. Ellie, do you want a barbecue? Well, you need to fry it. Laziness. Let's have some tea. Now the sun will set, and you and I will rise. We'll get the salad, fish and pies. Zoe, may God grant you many years of health. You know, I don't remember my mother. I lived with my dad all the time. It seems that if Mom were alive, she would be just like Zoe. I understand that my mother would be older, but my boys adore her and consider her their grandmother. It's scary to think that she might leave. She won't leave. She has no one but you. All the Fab Five knew Nina's story. She taught English at the school where Alex studied and was only 10 years older than her students. Naturally, all the boys were in love with her. She coped successfully with teenage testosterone. She was happily married and raised a wonderful girl, Barbara. One day I came home, and the key couldn't be inserted. On the other side it is inserted. She called and called. My husband doesn't open it. I ran for a locksmith. They opened the door, and he was lying on the floor. I was cooking dinner. The meat was defrosted. The frying pan was on the stove, and he was lying there with blue lips. Heart attack. No crime. The neighbors then whispered for a long time that such a young and healthy man's heart could not fail. Well, the neighbors know better. Zoe then took a long time to come to her senses. There was a daughter, students, but without her beloved husband. Very bad. Alex graduated from school, but Zoe didn't forget. When I came to the city, I always went to see her. Somehow it turned out that he was telling her how his life was going and shared his plans. I liked to just sit and dream. 5 years ago, Nina's daughter got married. The newlyweds went on their honeymoon to one of the Spanish islands, and that's it. They disappeared. It turned out that they took a car and drove around the island. They were seen in different cities, but where they went was not found out. When Alex arrived in town and heard this story, he ran to Zoe. He knocked with his hands and feet, almost broke open doors and windows, but she did not open. She ran to the neighbors. When did you see her? Is she alive? She doesn't come out herself and doesn't let anyone in. People, are you out of your mind? He doesn't go out for so long, doesn't eat, doesn't drink, and no one even called an ambulance. Zoe was saved and pumped out, but doctors could not restore her joy to life. Alex took her to his place. She didn't care where to live. I won't live anyway, she tried to explain that her daughter did not die. She disappeared, although she herself did not believe it. Helga's pregnancy saved them all. Zoe somehow perked up, as if she decided that she had something to live for. She adored the twins. She received the housekeeper's salary, but did not spend it. I saved it for the boys for the future. Helga, she has no one but you. You are her family. God grant that she thinks so. Sometimes it seems to me that my mother is walking around the house. Do you believe in fate? But not very. I can't believe that my fate is like this, to share a husband with his mistresses. What do you want from fate? Like everyone else, be happy. This is wrong, too vague. Were you happy with Pablo? Fate needs to ask a specific question. While the question is not asked, fate gives a choice: return to Pablo, find new love, or formulate it specifically meeting love, and send a request to fate. Wait for an answer. Hey, you speak well. Maybe you'll become a psychic? Will you hire me as a secretary or some kind of assistant? Fortune tellers. Shall we eat? I would have already eaten both the fish and the pie. It was not possible to spend the night on the veranda. Suddenly a terrible wind rose. A thunderstorm thundered. Helga, let's lie down in the living room. I'm afraid alone. As you say, the will of the guest is the law. We lay down in the living room. Helga, do you hear someone walking? There's a thunderstorm outside. Branches are scratching the glass. Helga had already fallen asleep. Oh no. Hey, do you have anything here? Well, a shovel or an axe. Are you going to sleep or not? These are mice scratching under the floor. I won't chase them with an axe. Morning. Sun. Grace. Ellie and Helga went out onto the veranda, stretched good. The dog jumped out of the house, rushed towards the fence, and got stuck somewhere in the bushes. Helga, is there someone there? Of course have. There are neighbors around here. There was a knock behind the bushes. Look, someone is repairing the fence. But who? Sveta and Vasya seem to have gone abroad for 2 years and they shouldn't be here yet. Maybe someone broke into the house? Yeah, and started repairing the fence. Listen, I've never noticed any panic in you. Is this some kind of side effect of the upcoming divorce? Let's go, let's see. I thought you were going to run into the house and lock yourself up. Are you like in Hollywood movies, making friends with fear and going to see where the criminal is? Where should we go? Chase the neighbors. While Helga was talking, Ellie came down from the porch, took a log in her hand, and climbed into the bushes. Helga did not follow her. Now the neighbor will get hit in the head, and she will have to apologize. And so it happened. There was a cracking sound in the bushes. Then a quiet "Oh, Ellie" jumped out, and a guy fell out behind her. Thank God it's not her neighbor. And who are you? Yes, I don't remember. Didn't bother anyone. Repaired the fence. Suddenly, bang, a girl hit me on the head. Why are you doing this to me? In general, he's a nice guy. He doesn't look like a homeless person. What did you do? Vasya probably hired a worker to fix or paint something. Look, his clothes are all stained with paint. The head was examined. Nothing, not even a bump. The amnesia will not go away. Well, who is he? Ellie hasn't let Helen out of her hands yet, but doubts have crept in that she's wrong. Vasya allowed me to live while he's gone. He said the neighbors are peaceful. Apparently he didn't know everyone. Sorry, of course, but you were sitting in our bushes. Nothing like this. I was climbing through my bushes. Even your dog ran to the fence and stopped. But the girl with the log, no. Yes, our girl is nervous. Ellie, throw the log. Let's get acquainted. I understand. You are Helga. Vasya spoke. Did you call this one with the log, Ellie? I'm Bruno. Everyone, let's meet. You are angry? Not once. It's rather amazing how such nymphs got into our bushes. Do you know how to cook shish kebab? Suddenly. We have delicious marinated meat, but we can't cook it. Hands are from the wrong place. Save us and the meat. Let's get your head treated and come back in the evening. Bruno left. Ellie became boring. Why do we need him? And Helga decided that Bruno was a good alternative to Pablo. She didn't know anything about him, but she wanted Ellie to notice that there were other men besides Pablo. It's not about love. Attention needs to be switched. Although her attention had already shifted, Ellie spent the whole day looking in the mirror, examining herself from all sides. Seems okay. She regretted that she only had 2 t-shirts here. If I had known that a party with a neighbor was planned, I would have dressed more decently. Although you shouldn't dress up for him. This half-baked homeless man at someone else's dacha was not worth attention. Helga could not calmly look at Ellie's throwing. We need to find out who Bruno is. Otherwise, the girlfriend will get into trouble again. She hasn't gotten out of one shit yet, but she'll get into another. Ellie found a bike. We drove around the village. By the way, there is time to find out what kind of thing this Bruno is. Helga did not go through the gate. She climbed through the bushes. Bruno didn't finish the fence. There is a hole. The area was in complete order. Smooth paths, mowed lawns, blooming flower beds. Yes, the man does not sit idle. He himself was lying in an inflatable pool. The pool was for children, not big enough Bruno could barely fit in it, but judging by his face, he liked it. Bruno went into the house, brought a teapot, cups, some cookies and vases, and he and Helga sat down in the gazebo. "Well, go ahead, ask me what kind of fruit I am. This is what you came for. I'll say right away that I have temporary problems with housing. Vasya allowed me to live here for now. I thought you were a hired worker, sort of looking after the estate. I came here to work in silence, but I don't work. The muse was on a spree somewhere. Boring. So I decided to patch up the estate. So who are you? An artist, or what?" "No, we don't have such talents. In general, he was deprived of talent, so he became a writer. Famous writer. I write fantasy for teenagers. True, they don't buy my books, but they watch comics based on my stories on the internet. So I'm not much of a writer. More like a hobby. And in life I am an engineer. I design construction in permafrost areas. I came here to warm up for you. I came alone, or with my wife. Subtle approach. Not married, if that's what we're talking about. The wife is no more." "Oh, sorry." No, she's alive, thank God. But now she's an ex. There is a 15-year-old daughter, a crazy girl who gets up to mischief. But I love her very much. Perhaps the only one I love." "Why did you get divorced?" Bruno did not find a logical answer to this logical question for many years. He met his future wife in Boston, where he studied at the institute. The wild student life once brought Bruno and his friends to the pedagogical school, where a local beauty contest was taking place. Let's go just to look at the local beauties. There Bruno saw Helen and disappeared. All friends aside, nobody is needed except Helen. She did not become a beauty queen, but a year later she became the wife of Bruno. It was impossible to live in a hostel. We rented an apartment on the outskirts. The apartment was so-so, but you had to pay rent. Bruno took orders for the repair of household appliances. Helen worked part-time as a waitress in a cafe. After graduation, Bruno was invited to work in the north. We needed a specialist in construction on permafrost. This is luck. Immediately after college, an interesting job, and most importantly, an apartment for a young specialist. Helen didn't hesitate, dropped everything, and went after her beloved. 5 years later, she realized that she was not a northerner. She cannot live in this permafrost. How can you live here in winter -60? I rushed into this horror after you, but I can't do it anymore. I want to go back to the warmth, to civilization. I want to wear normal clothes, not these layers. At least think about your daughter. You lived in the warmth. But she saw nothing but snowdrifts. Bruno's soul was torn. He saw that his wife was unhappy. But I couldn't give it all up right away. Be patient for a year. I'll finish the project and leave. Helen didn't wait. Bruno is a fan of the profession. Now it's a year old, then 2 more. She started an affair with the head of the department. He was getting ready for a promotion and was already packing his things for the move. Bruno came into control at the most inopportune moment. He, as the main person at the construction site, was allowed into the boss's office without questions. He walked in, and there was his beloved wife and authoritative boss in the most unambiguous position. Then there were assurances I misunderstood. I saw the wrong thing. But Bruno didn't listen. Helen drove off with her boss. The worst thing was that she took her daughter. But Bruno stayed behind. He lived and built. It's as if there was no family, nothing hurts or aches. I dreamed about my daughter. Even if Helen came back, asked for forgiveness and talked about love, nothing would change. He doesn't know how to forgive. There is no need for such love. But Helen did not return. Bruno believed that it was his own fault. He had seen enough of his parents who had been together for more than 40 years. I thought it was the same for everyone. I didn't consider other family options. Helen's betrayal crushed him. He stopped believing in love, tried to start a family again, but every time he ran away on his own, always waiting for a catch. Helen showed up 5 years later. Things didn't work out between her and her boss. I remembered that there is such a devoted and loving Bruno. Only Bruno was completely different. He looked at her with empty eyes, in which there was neither love nor adoration. He did not forgive Helen. But his daughter returned to his life. I rarely saw her, but at least she knew that there was a father. The northern career ended, and Bruno came to the city forever because his daughter lived here. While I was looking for an apartment, I lived with a friend at his dacha. Well, how can he explain to his neighbor, whom he sees for the second time in his life, why he got divorced? It will work out. It was not enough to pour out my soul to the first person I met. Did not get along. But I somehow thought so. Listen, writer, do you really know how to grill kebab? Listen, woman, do you doubt it? You offend. You fend. You've never eaten such kebab in your life. We wait. Can I use your hole in the fence again? I don't want to go down the road. Maybe we shouldn't kill her at all. Convenient. Helga flew through the bushes. On the veranda, in a circle of light, there was a dog on its back, paws up, and froze. What's wrong with Bulka? I have it on solar batteries charging. It wouldn't hurt us either. Let's have a drink. I'm not for children. What's stopping us? There will be barbecue only in the evening. What are we going to wait dry? Listen, I found our neighbor in the pool there. Well, I'll tell you. There is something to see. Helga, what are you doing? What, do you know who he is? Famous writer. True, he still builds houses in the Arctic, but in his free time he writes books. You should take a closer look. You don't come across shots. I need to come to my senses. What do you need to come to your senses? Kick out your husband and take a lover. You seem to have coped with the first one. The second one remains. This second one fits right into your hands. Don't miss it. In general, all men are assholes. Well, except for my second husband. But this one seems to be from the wrong herd. I'm not saying that, but it seems so. Just don't lie that you didn't like your neighbor. Even I liked it, even though I'm married. Helga, you're wound up. Yes, it's a shame, damn it. If I were a man, I would hit my face like your Pablo. Okay, that's it. Let's get ready to meet our neighbor. Ellie, take a closer look at him. The evening was wonderful, and the barbecue was delicious. Bruno shone with wit. Helga stepped into the role of matchmaker. Ellie acted coldly and distantly. It doesn't seem like we're talking about her. In short, I ruined everything. The evening promised to be languid, but it didn't happen. When Bruno left, Helga attacked her friend. What happened to you? He was clearly attracted to you. Don't like it, or what? I'm not saying that you should marry him, but you can show your interest. Helga, you ruined my mood. I didn't think you were like this. Seriously? Are you going to mourn your fate? There will be no further life. Or, on the contrary, do you think that now all the princes of the world will come to you? Ellie, wake up. We must continue to live. Life does not end with your beautiful Pablo. There are still men, and there will be better ones. Take a closer look at the one behind the fence. I thought he was worthy. Some kind of correct one. Helga was so fascinated by the role of matchmaker that she couldn't stop. In the morning she again climbed over the fence to her neighbor. Bruno, our pipe fell off there. Well, this is where the water drains. I don't think you'll take a look at the stock. I'll take a look, of course. Only this won't take Ellie. You're trying in vain. But you're a man, try. Bruno came, set up a ladder, climbed onto the roof, adjusted something, pulled it up, and the gutter fell into place. All is ready. Helga galloped nearby, but Ellie didn't even come out. It was all in vain. I failed to make an impression. Bruno was going down, and then the ladder gave way. He fell down. Ellie ran out at the noise. Still, it had an effect. Nothing bad happened, just a minor bruise. But they treated him like he was dying. Nice, but funny. In the evening, Ellie and Helga got ready to leave. The bun was lost in the bushes. I understood now that they would take me back. Oh, my life is a dog. There is no peace. They caught him and put him in a car. That's it. Let's go. Bruno closed the gate behind them. It seemed like it, but it didn't happen. Helga saw his lost face in the mirror and mentally cursed her friend in vain. But I'm a fool. I missed this chance. You can't insert it into your brains. What should I take from her? Blessed. For Ellie, the trip turned out to be a salvation. She returned home not only rested, but charged for a new life. I assured myself that Bruno had nothing to do with it, but he couldn't get out of my head. I liked it. What's there to hide? Why she behaved this way cannot be explained. Perhaps the ghosts of the past have not yet gone away. Remember about ghosts, they will appear. Pablo appeared. Ellie, where have you been? I arrive, you are not there. I'm calling, you don't answer. I don't have to answer. I feel like I'm in hell all the time. There is no life without you. I decided let's start over. I swear I'll never do it again. Forgive me, I repent. I don't need you anymore. Try your luck elsewhere. Fool, you can't live without me, can you? If they throw you out of the company, what will you live on? Have you thought about it yet? Well, somehow, even under the fence, as long as it's without you. Have you already found a man? Well, sure enough, I found it. Do you think he will support you? You are 40 years old. Someone younger will find you. But I won't pick you up again. Don't be stupid. Let's try to make everything work out. I will forgive everything and never remember. What nobility. Forgive me, that is. But I'm not like that. I haven't forgiven and I don't intend to. Get out of here and don't come back. Have you ever asked if I love you? Now ask. I do not like. Pablo couldn't understand why Ellie didn't forgive him. He sincerely repented and did not doubt her love. Does it show character? I'm tired of wandering around hotels, but I'll have to be patient. Now, for some reason, he didn't want fresh young lovers. I would like to return home. For the first time, doubts crept in. What if he doesn't forgive? No, this cannot be. She won't throw away 15 years of life. The fact that he always cheated doesn't count. The fact that she could have someone else made her furious. Ellie called Helga. Helga, can I go to your dacha? You know, the soul is not in the right place. Bruno is a real man. He suffered because of us, and we abandoned him and left. Indeed, it's somehow not human. Go. If only she didn't sit at home and shed tears for her Pablo. Ellie, come to my place and take the key. And Zoe and I will collect gifts. The sun was burning. The village seemed deserted. No one is poking around in the beds. The fields are not watered. Everyone hid from the heat. Ellie dragged her bag onto the veranda. What did Zoe collect? Helga probably painted a vivid picture of the hard life of a lonely man who has no one to feed. With such an amount of provisions, he will have to go to his neighbors down the street. He won't fit through the hole in the fence. I came here, imagining how I would go to Bruno and what I would say. And now it's kind of awkward. Maybe he doesn't want to see her? Well, since I brought you so far, I have to go. Ellie took apart her bag, put the gifts in a large dish, and climbed into the bushes. Climbing over fences is becoming a tradition. When Bruno builds a fence, how will they go and visit each other? She reached the house, knocked softly, but didn't answer. Maybe there is no home. She opened the door. The house is quiet and cool. Bruno, are you home? A sound was heard overhead on the second floor, moving the chair away, and Bruno appeared on the stairs. Ellie, unexpectedly. I keep looking at your house, thinking maybe someone will come, but they missed your arrival. Helga decided that you were dying of hunger here. Do you see how much I put on? Well, thank you. I'm not starving, of course, but I'm not good at cooking. I don't cook such delicacies. After your departure, I started writing again. I think you've inspired me. Can I read it? There are all sorts of strange creatures, aliens and superheroes. It's unlikely that you'll read this, but if you're interested, let's go upstairs. I set up something like an office there for myself. A table, a chair, a laptop, neatly folded books, reference books with multicolored folds, a notebook with handwritten notes, concisely, clearly, no clutter. Ellie's writing was somehow a stereotype. A shaggy, brilliant writer sits, scribbling on a typewriter, peering at the text and irritably pulling out the sheets, rather crumpling them, throwing them on the floor. There is crumpled and torn paper all around, an ashtray with a mountain of cigarette butts. Well, something like this. For a person who writes science fiction stories, inventing non-existent monsters is somehow too ascetic. The science fiction writer himself was a little embarrassed. He is clearly pleased with his guest, and Iron saw an old record player on the windowsill. There were records next to the stack. Does this work? Certainly. Bruno chose a record, carefully lowered the needle, and a foreign singer began to sing. Class, well, shall we have lunch? Certainly. Am I carrying all this in vain? A door slammed downstairs and a loud voice rang out. Dad, where are you? I've arrived. Bruno rolled down the stairs screaming. Ellie walked to the edge and quietly looked down from around the corner. It is clear that the daughter has arrived, but it is not clear how she will react to someone else's aunt in her father's house. So what should we do now? Don't jump out the window. Let Dad figure it out himself. Why didn't you call? I would have met you. Yes, I am. Everything as usual. Mom is making another attempt to move a guy in with her, and I seem to be out of place there. I'm interfering underfoot. I decided to live with you for a couple of days. You don't mind? What are you talking about? I'm glad to live with you. I haven't seen it for just a month, but there are such changes. I don't ask about hairstyle at all. Horrible. Why a nose ring? This is inconvenient. Changing the image is my middle name. I am impressed. I thought you'd be impressed, don't be afraid. It's not for long. Ellie was curious. What was it that impressed Dad so much? And stop hiding here already. You'll have to come out anyway. I didn't do anything illegal, but I feel like I broke into someone else's house, and everyone caught you there. Let's go downstairs. Let's get acquainted. Barbara saw Ellie at the top of the stairs, and a kaleidoscope of feelings was reflected on her cute little face. She had never seen a woman with her father. The fact that mothers change husbands is normal. But Dad was always alone. It seemed that it would be so. And suddenly she, a smart girl, understood that it was bad for an adult man to be alone. I wanted my dad to be happy. Well, suddenly I was not ready for the appearance of a woman. Seeing Ellie, Barbara somehow immediately decided that this was serious. Bruno and Ellie were just guessing, but Barbara knew right away. Oh, girls, meet me. This is Ellie, and this is Barbara. In front of Ellie stood a strange creature, straight out of her dad's books, a girl of about 15, wearing black jeans, a t-shirt with skulls, black circles around her eyes and lips of the same color. The icing on the cake is the nose ring. Ellie was most impressed by her hairstyle, black dreadlocks in huge quantities. The head seemed disproportionately large. Does your neighbor live here? No, my neighbor has her own house. Girls, let's go have lunch. You were just in time, before you had time to eat everything that Ellie was carrying. During lunch, Barbara kept her head up for an hour. Sounds like income irritation. How long have you been walking around with this beauty on your head? Yes, it's been 2 weeks now. My mother and I were on vacation in Turkey. That's where I did it. Why the hell I needed this, I don't know. But I just can't unravel it. When I arrive in town, I'll go to the hairdresser. It itches. Infection. Let me try, otherwise you've already started to get irritated. Do you know how? As a student, I completed a hairdressing course. I don't have much practice, but I think I can handle it. Why are you suffering so much? In 2 days you can be left without hair at all. Oh, help, kind woman. For the rest of the day, Ellie methodically dismantled the nest on Varia's head, strand by strand. When it was all over, the girl washed her hair. Ellie ran to Helga's house and brought her a soothing ointment for her scalp. Without any products or terrible makeup, Barbara turned out to be a beauty. Now let's go visit me. I have pies from Nina. Let's drink tea. It got completely dark. Lanterns were burning along the street, but it was dark in the area they could barely find a hole in the fence. Ellie turned on the light on the veranda and went into the house to get some pies. She wanted a holiday, and she turned on the illumination. Garlands flashed on the house and lead rain appeared. Barbara squealed with delight. New Year's in August, that's great. Bruno looked at her and thought, I have a good girl, smart, understands everything. Seems to have accepted Ellie. Only I, a fool, didn't say anything to Ellie, didn't ask if she needed it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll tell you everything, otherwise he'll leave and never come back. In the morning, Ellie was awakened by a knock on the window. Barbara was jumping under the window and waving her arms. Ellie, Dad said that you ride a bike great. Let's get to the river and take a swim. Okay, but first, let's go have breakfast. Dad is already waiting. Again, according to tradition, we climbed over the fence. We need to tell Helga to trim the bushes here. Anyway, a folk trail has already been formed. I wonder what time Bruno got up to prepare this breakfast. Here you have pancakes and scrambled eggs with tomatoes. The smell of coffee knocks you off your feet. Clearly not for her. I tried to feed my daughter, my beloved girl, who was underfed, but it was still nice. Barbara could not be pulled out of the river. We splashed with all our hearts. Well, let it be. because it's not often that a city child gets such happiness. Ellie and Bruno were sitting on the shore in the shade of the trees. "Bruno, have you come forever, or will you return to the north again?" "No, I won't come back. In 2 weeks, the house in which I bought an apartment will be rented. My personal life will end. I'll get settled and go to work. There are several good proposals. Houses are being built, not only in the Arctic. Writing is for the soul. You won't make money with this." I might have returned to the north, but it was too far from my daughter. She is growing so fast that I don't have time to notice. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to be with my daughter. My ex-wife is completely confused in her personal life. She has no time for the child. It's amazing how, with such parents, she managed to grow up to be a normal person. All these nose rings are just a teenage protest. Look, they say parents don't pay attention to me. I'm also sticking the rings in the wrong place. Yes, you are a good girl. And I have no one, no child, no husband. It seemed like there was a family, and then bam, in an instant it burst, like a soap bubble. She seemed to live happily. She was happy with everything. She adored her husband. Now I look at him and want to grab his face so that he is not so happy and handsome. True, the last time I could barely restrain myself. If he comes again, I'm afraid we'll fight. Could you help me arrange my apartment? My thoughts are running wild. I don't understand what decoration, what furniture. I can help, but you have to live there. You have to choose it for yourself. Otherwise, I'm fantasizing and you will be uncomfortable. Do it as for yourself. Ellie, I wanted to say. Don't, Bruno, you understand. It's too fast. We barely know each other. At least I can call you when I'm in town. But of course, I'm already eager to furnish your apartment. Not alone, I will need help. She also has to live there, with her creative vision. And Bruno needs to spend some time with his daughter. They have a lot to talk about. Ellie was driving into town with strange feelings. She really liked Bruno, but the words Pablo kept spinning in her head. You're 40. Nobody needs you. Really, who needs a 40-year-old woman when there are plenty of young and long-legged ones around? Moreover, the woman is offended and disappointed. If one offends, the other will also be offended. Ellie understood that she was wrong. One size does not fit all. But it didn't let go yet, it stung. Time is needed, they say, it heals. So let's wait. It's as if I've never seen a man. I saw the first one and fell in love. We need to stop by Helga's, hand over the keys, and talk. Maybe she, as always, will sort everything out. Strange affair. The only close person was a friend. She couldn't imagine that Helga might not take her side. Even if I'm wrong 100 times, my friend will still stand up. It's like with a child, no matter what he does, his mother will protect him. True, these are purely speculative observations about children. Ellie doesn't know about this, but she thinks so. By the way, about girlfriends. Helga, then Michael's wife, and Ellie went to visit a local bard. He was planning some kind of creative evening there. There were no fans of his talent. We didn't know him very well, we just decided to spend the evening. Their college friend Natalia turned out to be there. She was not one of the Fab Five, but they were often in the same company. The evening turned out to be boring, the songs were not impressive. The local bohemia spoke with meaning and hints mere mortals cannot understand. Not imbued with the creativity of Ellie and Helga, they left. Michael was waiting for Helga at home, red with rage. He screamed to spit and poked the phone under her nose until she took the phone away. I couldn't understand what was going on. Friend Natalia sent a photo from the party with the caption, "Do you know where your wife is?" Why did she need this? God knows. Probably out of envy. Michael didn't even remember. But Natalia was one of those girls with whom he had an affair, and then quickly abandoned him. And this incident became the reason for the divorce. But Helga tried to avoid such friends. Helga opened it so quickly, as if she was waiting at the door. Well, how did you go? Her home is the usual mess. Zoe is torn between the children and the kitchen. The house is big, but there is no quiet place to be found. Lord, where can we go? Let's go to the balcony. They walked to the balcony, trying not to fall on the scattered toys and fearing to step on the dog, which was running around like crazy. Tell me. I met his daughter, a good girl. Bruno asked me to help furnish the apartment. Great. Living together as planned. Don't drive the horses. Yes, I like it, Bruno. But why does he need me? I used to love looking at myself in the mirror. I'll come and have a look. Beauty, pretty skin glows, eyes sparkle. The main thing is without any effort, just happiness. And now I don't just pass by the mirror, I run. The eyes wouldn't look. Do you think that a woman is judged by her beauty? Old and in a landfill. Firstly, you are very beautiful, a little tired, that's it. Secondly, why is it considered that being beautiful has an easy life? Everything just falls into your hands. Thirdly, why do they look at beauties but don't take beauty queens as wives? Well, fourthly, something is your favorite. Pablo, who changes young beauties like gloves, will never leave you. Do you think women didn't look back at Bruno? Such a man. Of course they looked around. Beautiful, free. They were probably plotting intrigues. That's what I'm talking about. He was waiting for you. Well, you say. Yes, I know what I'm saying. When I left Michael, I decided to start a new life. There are all sorts of diets, cosmetologists. And then I realized that Alex would have loved me even without diets and cosmetologists, because he loved me. And that's all. Even if I were fat and scary, I would still love you. So Bruno saw the young and beautiful, and you got into my soul. I don't know him much, but there is a feeling of reliability in the air. I understand you perfectly. But you can't let such a man go. Ellie thought about Bruno all the time. He couldn't get it out of his head. I scolded myself, created a tragedy out of nowhere. I like Bruno, I like it. So what's the matter? There was a feeling of some incompleteness. Pablo didn't let go. It's hard to erase 15 years of life. I understood that I would never return to Pablo under any circumstances. And I erased it from my life, but not from my memory. Bruno called. Ellie, I was handed the keys to the apartment. Let's go have a look. The house was unusual, tall, narrow towers, sliding glass doors, a concierge room, a room for bicycles, scooters and baby strollers. In the foyer, de Bruno's palm trees and mirrors. Chandeliers like in a palace. But it's impressive. Wide corridors, luxurious elevators. What is this? A residential building. What is this? Luxury housing. Just comfort. I bought it when there was only a foundation here, so it's relatively inexpensive. But I like it myself. I would live in the entrance. There is beauty here, but the apartment has only walls. We're going for a long time. Which floor? 23rd. Which? What struck me most about the Ellie apartment was the loggia, 25 meters with an exit from 2 rooms and glazing to the floor. It's not like going to the window, it's scary to look. Why so high? Horrible. They are building houses around, I didn't want to look into the windows. And this house is the highest, it does not block anything. The view was gorgeous. Tiny cars in the yard, a park with paths and fountains. And then there are spacious meadows with sparse trees and somewhere far away, almost beyond the horizon, a river. Well, here's the front of the housework, and how to make this space livable. How is your imagination? I don't know, but Barbara is simply bursting with ideas. I warn you right away, I am for any option other than demolishing the walls. I'm tired of living in Dacas. I want to move into an apartment as quickly as possible. Okay, I won't touch the walls. Listen, Ryder, is there enough money for furniture? The apartment is not small. How should we show off? Or more economical? Oh, don't deny yourself anything. But hold on. Furnishing an apartment is an exciting, but tedious task. Every day there are construction fairs and furniture showrooms. Bruno didn't interfere. Only once, when Barbara showed the bedroom design she liked on the internet, he said a categorical no, that he would not fall asleep in such horror, and if he fell asleep, he would die, waking up from horror. We installed furniture, tiled the bathroom and loggia. Noise, dust. During the renovation, it was decided to go out of town. Poor Bun tried to hide in the bushes, but the boys followed. What a life, and there is no peace at the dacha. But what can we take from them? The little thing is pot-bellied. Zoe pulled the twins out of the bushes. They'll fight, Helga stopped her. Life experience. We'll treat the wounds, they'll know. We waited for Alex and sat down to dinner. Bruno came solemnly, wearing a shirt. Barbara, as always, you won't understand what it's about, something pink and fluffy. Okay, at least without the skulls. By the way, I took the earring out of my nose. but there are 3 in each ear. Alex, as the host, decided to say the first toast, but Bruno suddenly interrupted him. Can I say? I am terribly glad that fate brought me to this dacha. I never thought that I would become homeless. It turned out, fortunately. Zoe, I can't imagine life without your pies. What a blessing that Vasya has such neighbors in the country. Helga, special respect to you. You know why? Alex, I hardly know you, but only an outstanding man can keep a woman like Helga. Helga whispered to Ellie, did you send a request to fate about him? Ellie nodded. The request has arrived, he will make an offer now. Don't be stupid. Barbara, it seems, also understood what she was getting into. She approached Ellie and hugged her shoulders. Well, Dad, don't drift, I don't mind. Ellie, you have already arranged an apartment for me. Would you like to come as a hostess? I love you. Marry me. I understand that unemployed construction workers are not the best batch, but I will improve. There will be a ring. Flowers. Now I'm running away to the Narva flower bed. There is no need to spoil the flower bed. So I didn't understand. You agree? Everyone sat without breathing. Helga was especially worried, would she really refuse? That's it. I won't be friends with her. She's a complete fool. Iron looked at Bruno. There were tears in her eyes. Something needs to be said. How can you say it when everyone is watching and waiting? She started to get up. And then Barbara jumped up and shouted, hooray. Bride and groom. Accidentally overhearing a conversation between her husband and his mistress, Linda decided. Linda screamed and jumped on the stool. The huge gray mouse looked carefully at the woman with its black eyes and, as if nothing had happened, went towards the plinth under the windowsill. The mouse disappeared into some invisible crevice. Mum, why are you shouting? Came a voice from the corridor. Mia, Linda said, laughing as she climbed down to the floor. And we're not the only people here. What do you mean? A sleepy, disheveled teenage girl in a wide pink t-shirt appeared in the doorway. She's hiding. Linda nodded toward the windowsill. She seemed to have a well-established route. A mouse, Mia said, as if in disbelief. Where would it come from? A new home. I'd understand if we'd moved into a holler. Mom, maybe you're imagining things. You haven't slept much, have you? Well, Linda laughed. Maybe you've never seen mice, only mice in cages. I grew up in the country. There was a lot of this stuff there. I'm sure I wouldn't confuse it with anything else. Still, it's strange. Where did it come from? Economical housing? My daughter grumbled skeptically. From the ventilation, I suppose. They haven't installed the extractor yet. It must have come out of that hole over there. We should call a pest control service right away. Don't you feel sorry for the mouse? Mother frowned. It's so small. Where there's a mouse, there's a pack of mice. Mia wagged her finger. Mum, you're like a little girl. You always feel sorry for everyone. It's not a house mouse. It's a real pest. If we let it in, it'll eat everything. Yes, you're right. My daughter, the woman, shook her head. Maybe we'd better get a cat. We'll get rid of it naturally, so to speak. I don't know. Dad won't like it. You know he's had a thing for cats since childhood, don't you? I used to ask him for a kitten when I was little. And if he was allergic or something, he just didn't like them. I'd get one. It's more fun with a cat. I'm alone at home all day. Do you go to school or out with your friends? Dad's at work. Isabella only comes round when she wants to chat. Lately, she's disappeared. She doesn't even answer messages. Aunt Isabella's a real piece of work. I don't even know why you hang out with her. She's mean. And I think she's making eyes at Daddy. Mia sat down at the table with her arms crossed over her chest. Come on, Isabella's fine. I've been friends with her since we were in high school. Yeah, she's got a bit of a temper, of course. Dad thinks she's a bitch. I'm the only one who knows her well. She's miserable. She's so beautiful, smart, but her love life is a failure. I feel sorry for her. You always feel sorry for everyone. Aunt Isabella is a real bitch. Her life doesn't work out because everyone else is bad, but because she has too many expectations. She doesn't think of men as people. She just takes money from them. She's an arrogant fool. Mia, you can't talk about people like that. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with that? You're the one with the rose-colored glasses, aren't you? I'm telling you, look at your girlfriend or she'll steal our dad. What's she care? She'll play with it, and throw it away and ruin our family. Mia, don't be daft. Michael would never even look at Isabella. I mean, how could you think Dad would do something like that? We've been together for 14 years. I never thought he'd even consider another woman, much less my mate. Men don't think with their heads, and Aunt Isabella is a master manipulator. Okay, let's drop it. I just want you to know that she's flirting with him. I've seen it myself, and a woman can't hide it. You're a woman. Come on, let's have breakfast, cause the tea's gone cold while we're talking about that Brazilian soap opera. I don't have to be at school till 12 today, Mia said as she took a bite of her sandwich. Mrs. Brown's taking us to the museum today. Oh yeah? You didn't even say anything about a field trip. Do you need any money? Yeah, I've got some. Dad gave it to me yesterday. I forgot to tell you. You always do. Linda looked at her daughter reproachfully. You didn't forget to tell me about Aunt Isabella, but about the museum. Where are you going? Yes, the local history museum. There's some new exhibit there. How will the little ones take us? At least I'll get to hang out with Oscar. He's obsessed with all that stuff. He's such a nerd. He'll never come to school. He's all about his studies. Oscar is a very nice boy. I've known his mom for a long time. She's a nice, intelligent woman. I thought he was going to study archaeology. He's right to study. You've got a lot on your mind right now. You're all smart, advanced, supposedly knowledgeable about life, but in reality, it's all entertainment and the cult of video clips. You should do your homework too. You got a C in physics. Why? You've always been so clever and keen to learn. It was Mr. Smith. He gave everyone a C. It was just a mood. Mia, you're not everyone. You always have to be a cut above the rest. It's just a teacher in a bad mood. I know you're Mr. Smith, he's a bastard. But you've got to be able to find a way to get along. You can't get along with him, Mom. He made Olivia cry, too. He said people like her can't take in information. They can only bat their eyelashes. And he started telling her something about waves, that she was flapping her eyelashes and didn't even know what kind of vibration she was creating. Well, of course. Okay, it's up to you, but fix your grades. You probably hate getting C's yourself. And Oscar? Don't overdo it, or you'll embarrass the boy, you perky girl. It's all right, Mum. Mia wrinkled her nose. Are we having a housewarming party this weekend? Of course, I've already invited the guests. Tomorrow we just need to install the extractor fan to make the kitchen look nice. It's not proper to welcome guests like this. At least stay with us for an hour, or you'll go out again. I will. Mia kissed her mother on the cheek and headed for the exit. Thanks for breakfast. Linda was shelving books and figurines. She didn't like the new flat, but she had to move. They used to live in the center, in a spacious Stalinist building overlooking the river. But life had turned out so that Michael had run up large debts. Business was going badly, and the sale of an expensive and oversized flat of 4 rooms was a forced measure. The new one-bedroom was in a new building on the outskirts. The place was quite quiet and decent. There was a forest park nearby. From the balcony on the 13th floor, there was a magnificent view of the city, especially in the evenings when the lights were on. Yes, and it was closer to Mia's school from here. One car had to be sold too, but Linda didn't drive much, so she parted with it without regret. But now Michael was doing better. He managed to pay off the loan and get rid of the headache of calls from creditors. I have to do something about my job, Linda thought. My remote work, of course, brings income, but it's not enough. Especially with Michael, it's unclear what's going on. He's been ripped off by his partner, robbed, you might say. Well, at least the debts have been sorted out, and the suppliers are showing off they've raised their prices. If it goes on like this, I'll have to close the business, and we'll both have to go to the factory. And Mia's at an age where money is like water. It's like water. Where am I going to go? Since I left the office, I'm not used to dealing with people. All I know how to do is make estimates. But I need customers. As long as I've been working remotely, I've been working with the same ones. It's not like I'm on a notice board offering my services. I know that an estimator can become a millionaire, but I'm not at that level. And I don't want to abandon the house. Well, I'll think about it at my leisure. In the meantime, I've got to call Isabella to see if she's coming on Saturday. Mia does talk such rubbish. Yeah, Isabella's gonna make eyes at Michael. I don't know what she's thinking. Objectively speaking, my girlfriend's a money hound. Ever since she was young, she's never been much for feelings. It's just the way she is. But Michael's not much to take. I don't believe she's in love with him. No way. I'd rather see that mouse go into space. That's more likely. Michael, of course, a good man, but objectively not handsome and boring. But as a husband and father, he's completely fulfilled. Mia loves us a lot because of his failures, worries not because of ambition, and that we will be worse off. He's kind. Linda dialed her friend's number. Hello? Isabella's voice came through. I hear you're in a good mood. Linda laughed into the receiver. Oh, Linda, I was just thinking about you. What's up? How's the housewarming party going? Can you believe I saw a mouse in the kitchen today? What, a mouse? Did Mia bring it in? No, a real mouse. It must have crawled out of the vent. We'll put the extractor fan on tomorrow. I hope we don't get any more visitors like that. I'm just sorting out my things. You like it there? After the choir in the center, it must be uncomfortable. Yes, it's bearable, Isabella. You can get used to anything. It's all about having a roof over your head. And my daughter has her own room. We're not posh, of course, but it's decent enough. Quiet courtyard, parking, children's playground. The view is beautiful, and I can't hear the neighbors, so it's fine. You'll see for yourself on Saturday. You're coming, right? Where would I go? Isabella laughed. Can I bring you anything? Yes, I've got everything. Don't be ridiculous. We're not impoverished, but just temporarily lowered the standard of living. Oh, Linda. We'll get through this. Thank you, Isabella. I love you so much. My family may be skeptical about you, but they're wrong. Let them think what they want. What do I care? You're my friend, and I don't criticize your daughter's friends. I'm sure there's some pretty good ones out there. And you shouldn't listen to Michael. He understands a lot about people. He worshipped Arnold, thought he was his friend. And what did he end up with? A multi-million-dollar debt and a ruined business. Now you're looking for Arnold. You're right, aren't you? God, Isabella, why are you always right? Life has taught me. I can see right through people. You know, I've been with all kinds of people. Now I don't care about anyone at all. I wondered if I love myself. What do you love? Not a damn thing. I've been running away from myself all my life. I'm 30 years old with a big tail. What have I got? Emptiness, pain, and a box full of gifts from different men. It's not fulfilling. You need a child, Isabella. You think about it, where to give birth to a child in this crazy world. And there's no man. Not from the Holy Ghost. Well, that's no problem at all. You can find a donor. It's not like we're building a relationship or go to a specialized center. It's a popular trend these days. No, I can't do that, Linda. I have to do it for love. Oh, don't be ridiculous. You still believe in love. Like you said, you're well past 30. You don't have to worry about love anymore. Michael and I never really had much love. But that doesn't stop us from appreciating and respecting each other. And I've never been greedy for romance. Well, I'm not you, Linda. My feelings always come first. Right? Linda grinned to herself. Money comes first. You've got someone to take advantage of. Love of money, to be more precise. It's up to you, she continued aloud. But don't let that train get away. I'm glad I had Mia early, but now she's big, and I'm not old yet, and I can live a little longer. Isn't that right? But I can't do that anyway. And all those nappies, all those nappy things, I'll have to revise them all my life. And I don't want to go round hospitals looking like a tortured man, wiping the floor looking for a doctor to help me conceive. You don't think it'll work without IVF? Isabella, 35 is not 45. Can you still get pregnant on your own? Let's leave this topic, it's boring, Isabella laughed. Anyway, wait for me on Saturday. Okay, it's a deal, Linda smiled and said goodbye. The guests were sitting at the table in the room that served both as a living room and a bedroom. Linda, responding to the back of the sofa, laughed merrily as she told her mates about the mouse marching briskly through their kitchen. Mia, in the company of her friend Mary, was showing an older couple, friends of the family, the view from the balcony. They were having fun, and some of them were even trying to dance to the jazz playing from the speakers. Linda noticed that the bottles of wine on the table were empty and went to the kitchen to get more. Michael walked towards her. The man was already quite drunk. "Michael, I wondered where you'd disappeared to," Linda exclaimed. "No sign of Isabella either." "Your girlfriend's in the kitchen. We were talking to her." "Did you two have another clash of opinions?" "Not at all." Isabella's gaunt figure appeared behind her husband. "We had a very nice chat. I confess go out to restaurants, you don't even go out together. Where's the romance? What romance, Isabella? We've been married for so many years. How many years? Michael perked up, leaning against the wall. What does time matter? You're wrong, Linda. There should always be room for romance, bouquets, candy. Really? The wife looked closely at her husband. Why don't you show it in any way? Flowers only on the 8th of March, candy usually yourself all and eat. Linda, do not wind up, held her friend. And you, Michael, go to the guests, because they are bored without you. That's right, I wanted to show Mr. Wilson the new tools. The man blinked. Go on then. Or Mr. Wilson has already lost you. For some reason, Lida was very angry with her husband. When Michael left, Isabella looked her friend straight in the eye. Linda, what are you doing? You just jumped on your husband out of nowhere. Isabella, what is he saying that's so hurtful? Hey mate, he's drunk. Why are you listening to him? Do you want flowers? What flowers? No. What does flowers have to do with anything? He's just saying you can't have romance without romance. I wish you'd do something about it. You say he loves me, but I don't feel it. I mean, it shouldn't be weird. I mean, we got married more out of convenience than anything else. No, of course we had feelings, but we both needed a stamp in our passports. My mum pressed me, and he was told at work that he'd be promoted, that family men were preferred. And since we had been friends for a long time, we decided to make a fake marriage. And then we realized we were good together, comfortable and fun. Mia was born. Linda, you should be happy. What is love anyway? You know how many people get married for love and then run away from each other after a year. You have stability, a union based on respect. To me, that's worth a lot. Although I myself would only marry for love. I can't do otherwise. What's wrong with me? Linda suddenly took offense. I too, maybe want to be carried in my arms, showered with compliments, kissed tenderly, and not as a duty officer, taking a shift. You're so interesting, Linda. Isabella was indignant. You should marry for love. What's the problem? What you sow is what you reap. Have you forgotten? It's silly to expect a man who's just a friend to love you. And you love him too, by the way. Don't tell me now that Michael makes you feel passionate. Well, Linda said uncertainly. I guess you're right. I love Michael, but not as a man, more as a family member. A husband, not a lover. I don't mean that in a bad way. I only sleep with him once a month, and that's out of obligation. I feel that he is not much attracted to me, and I do not feel much desire myself. Maybe Isabella squinted. Don't get me wrong, Linda. Maybe you should find another man. What are you talking about? The woman darted her eyes at her friend. Why do you say that? We have a family. It's not like I'm some kind of... It's cheating. Don't shout like that. Isabella put her hand on Linda's shoulder. Why is it cheating? Cheating is when you love someone, you're devoted to them, and then you stumble, and that's it. What about you? You live like this, Linda. You'll die before you even know what love is. And a woman only reveals herself when she feels loved. Stop living like a robot. What makes you happy? Me? Linda thought. Mia. Your Mia is already a big horse. You wait a couple more years, she won't even call you. She'll fly out of the nest. What are you going to do then? Unloved husband. Loneliness, boring work, old age creeping up on you. Why do you say such scary things? Well, isn't it true? Well, isn't it true? I know what I'm talking about, Linda. I'm 35, just like you. The only difference is that I don't have a husband or kids. I do have a good job and I love it. But that's not going to last forever. And the fact that I don't have any luck with men. You know, yes, none of them ever made me married, but for the time I was with each of them, I felt really happy. For a woman, it's synonymous loved and happy. There's no other way to put it. You know, I'll keep looking for men like that, not trying to get them to marry me. And then, when I will be 60 years old, I will find some quiet grandfather, and I will live differently, simply, calmly and measured. Although nowadays, even at 60, ladies can be so hot. Did you see Miss Argentina? Isabella, I will never accuse you or try to change your mind. Your views and beliefs, your lifestyle, it's all yours. I respect your choice, but I can't do it myself. I don't know if it's my upbringing or my morals. And if Michael found out and Mia found out, it would be a nightmare. I can't let my family down for my own amusement. You're a fool, Linda. You're just going to feel guilty in your old age for sticking to your stupid principles. Well, that's up to you. I'm not going to persuade you. I respect your opinion as much as you do, even if it doesn't agree with mine. Let's go to the guests. You went to get the wine. There's still a couple of bottles left. Let's get it. Lita was holding her smartphone with the app shop open. Her thumb was already hovering over the button install, but the woman still did not dare. Almost 5 months had passed since the housewarming conversation with her friend. And although Linda immediately dismissed the idea of cheating, her relationship with Michael was only getting worse. Mia went on holiday to a language camp. She didn't really want to go there, but when the girl found out that Oscar was going there, she immediately began to process her parents. Michael flatly refused to pay. The money was really very little. But seeing her daughter's upset face, Linda pulled a plastic card out of the cupboard and gave it to Mia. It contained enough money to pay for the camping trip, the road and pocket money. Mia was overjoyed. Her father only grumbled grudgingly, saying that the money would have been better invested in business. Linda hummed and said that the amount was ridiculous for a business, but it would make the child happy. And there was nothing to talk about. Linda didn't like her husband's reaction at all. He'd never denied Mia anything before. He adored his daughter. But lately something had changed. Linda couldn't figure out what it was. Only her husband's company came out of the minus and began to slowly recover, as the money at home became even less. Michael explained it by the fact that every penny invested in the business and should tighten their belts. He stopped giving his daughter pocket money. Linda had to cut out of her own salary, but recently there were not so many orders. The last straw was when Michael didn't come home. The man stayed at work to check some reports. Linda called her husband to find out what to cook for dinner, and in response she heard a scolding and an insistent request not to interfere with him. That evening the woman sat at her desk and thought she was miserable. Isabella was right on all counts. When a woman is unloved, nothing brings her joy. Normally Mia would dampen that feeling of loneliness by reminding Linda that she was a mother and loved by her child. But Mia was far away, and she was to spend the next fortnight abroad. Linda thought long and hard and finally decided to install a dating app for herself. Her conscience tormented her a lot, but the desire to experience a strong feeling was drawing her in, and it was getting harder and harder to control herself. Realizing that she couldn't handle it, the woman still clicked the install button. The interface was quite simple. Linda had never used anything like it, but she figured it out quickly. She uploaded a couple of photos of herself, filled out a form. The likes came pouring in. The woman began to study the candidates. Mostly guests from the East and young boys wrote. She didn't want to answer them at all. Moreover, most of the proposals were quite vulgar, and even frankly obscene. Linda quickly got bored and put the phone away. Before going to bed, she went back to the app. More than 100 messages had accumulated. Lita flipped through the list, sometimes even replied. And then one man caught her eye. His face seemed vaguely familiar. The woman immediately began to go through the memory of all the acquaintances, matching the age and name, but no one came to mind. Still, she decided to answer. The guy was called Ethan, a simple American name, a simple face with huge blue eyes. Linda liked him immediately. The man was a little older. He was pleasant and delicate in communication. He didn't ask for photos, didn't throw his own. He simply offered to meet and get acquainted in person, to understand at once whether it was necessary to continue communication, rather than to drag the rubber with endless messages. And Linda agreed. Yes, she was embarrassed in front of her husband and daughter, but she hadn't done anything about it yet. The meeting at the coffee shop seemed harmless enough. After all, no one was forcing her to continue that interaction. Maybe Ethan would be a good friend too. But deep down, Linda realized that she really liked this man. It seemed that they had known and understood each other for a long time. The meeting was scheduled for the next day. Linda chose a place that was far from home and where neither she nor Michael ever went. The woman couldn't sleep until almost morning. She tossed and turned for a long time, her head hot, curiosity and conscience arguing. Finally, she passed out. The alarm clock beeped demandingly, forcing Linda to get up sooner. The woman rose, writhing unhappily. There was the sound of water running from the bathroom. "What's that?" She shuddered. Had Michael returned? Lida got up, threw on a dressing gown and went into the corridor. Her husband's shoes stood in the hallway. On the banquette settled his briefcase. The woman walked to the kitchen to quickly prepare breakfast. She fried eggs and boiled coffee. "Smells good." Michael appeared in the doorway, wiping his wet hair with a towel. "I thought you'd never come back." Somehow hopelessly said the wife. "Yes, I just had to wash up and have breakfast." Michael kissed Linda on the cheek. "I've been sitting up all night. My head is spinning. I'd give half a kingdom for a coffee right now, and all I get at the office is instant. You have no idea what's going on with the paperwork in there. And we have an audit coming up. The accountant who came in with Arnold, she's got my hair all over the place. I'm going again. You sit down to breakfast." Linda pulled away. The unfortunate conscience pricked her heart, and the woman was ready to give up meeting with Ethan. Looking at her husband, so tired and indignant at the same time, she only wanted to take care of him, to prepare dinner and meet him in the evening, as she always did. Michael ate hastily and packed quickly. When he left, Linda picked up her phone to text Ethan and cancel the meeting, but there was already a message waiting for her, which abruptly changed her plans. "Hi, beautiful. I would like to write poems to make your awakening pleasant, but alas, I'm not a poet, so I'll just wish you a good morning and the most pleasant experience. I hope that no evil forces will interfere with our meeting." Linda was very pleased to read this. She hadn't heard anything like that in a long time. She'd hardly heard anything like that in a long time. The words, though printed in a soulless application, seemed sincere and radiated some warmth. Linda hesitated, but decided to reply that everything was in order. By noon she was ready, had done a light makeup, and had not gone too far with her outfit. The woman threw on a light floral dress, let her hair down and shoved her feet into simple beige sandals. Placing her sunglasses on the bridge of her nose, she hailed a taxi and drove to the meeting place. Ethan was waiting for her in a half-empty cafe, sitting on a velvet quilted sofa. When the man stood up to greet Linda, she even whistled. The guy was about 2 meters tall and very well built. He was about 2 meters tall and very well built. He had muscles under his shirt that the thin fabric couldn't hide. "Hi." Ethan smiled broadly, hugging Linda. The woman immediately noticed that the perfume of her new acquaintance was very expensive, multifaceted and amazing. "Hi." Linda smiled back. "To be honest, I didn't believe you were coming until the last minute," the guy admitted. "It was hard to understand in my head what such a woman forgot on this site. I have not registered so long ago, but I have already had time to study the contingent." Yeah, Linda grinned. "And what kind of contingent is that?" "A symbol maker, divorcees with a trailer, as they like to call it nowadays, who try to place their girls from Central Asian guests with someone better, desperate women in years. Yeah, lots of them." "Who are you looking for, if it's no secret?" Lida studied the menu thoughtfully, glancing at Ethan with one eye. "What if I'm a dishwasher or a divorcee too?" "No, Linda. You're definitely not a dishwasher, I can tell. And you didn't pick the most expensive cafe. They usually want the best restaurant in town. I went on a date with one of them. and I almost maxed out my credit card. I'm not ready to be a sponsor. The thought of a relationship for money disgusts me. I'm divorced myself. I just need a man with a soul, who will listen to my whining, stroke my head, and say that everything will be fine. It motivates me a lot. If you even have a kid, that's okay, I'm willing to accept. I don't have my own, but I've always wanted one. My wife was a real piece of work. All she thought about was looks and money. I don't know how I got married, but my parents insisted. All they wanted was grandchildren. So I went along with it. Anne didn't want kids at all. In the end, she's off to Dubai to live with some Arab. I never really had much love for her. She had her good moments, so I'm grateful to her. You are? To be honest, I don't know what I want. I don't want to lead you on. I'm married. I've been married to my husband for almost 15 years. We have a daughter, Mia. Lately, I've realized I don't feel anything for Michael, and neither does he for me. We didn't marry for love, we just wanted to support each other. Over time, feelings did not develop. Just as friends, we live as relatives, good acquaintances. So I decided to register in the app. I didn't think it would come to a meeting, especially so quickly. But don't think I'm a cheater or a traitor, although my conscience is eating me up. It's all Isabella's fault, my friend. She put the idea into my head a few months ago. I didn't see it that way then. I realize now that Michael's been a real pain in the arse. Isabella told me that a woman without love is unhappy. And you immediately decided to look for love on a dating site? Ethan laughed. No, I do not think you are some bad. 1,000 women are unhappy in marriage. Someone is beaten, someone is humiliated, not appreciated, and everyone is not loved. I agree with your friend, but the same thing happens to men. It is from the outside we are so tough, independent, and unapproachable, but in the heart of all want this love, at least understanding. But even that is often unattainable. I registered myself because I realize I can't go on living like this. And I see how your face reflects everything inside. I'm not pulling you into bed, just chatting. Finding a soulmate is a breakthrough. Sometimes you just want to talk to someone warm and bright, and there's no one to talk to. Thank you for understanding me and not criticizing me. I'm sick of it. It's a mental emptiness. I realized at 35 that I'd never been in love, and I couldn't tell anyone what was going on inside me. Mia wouldn't understand me, she's young. Isabella, we're too different. Michael, when his business started to fail, he shut down. He won't even listen to me. It's all about money. Money, money, money in his mind and in his conversation. You work by yourself? Yes, but at home. I'm an estimator. The orders are stable, but I don't make much money. Especially after the sale of the flat, I've had to tighten my belt. I paid for a trip to a language camp. It took my whole stash. But I can't deprive my child of joy, especially when she has her first love there. And the boy went. His father flatly refused to sponsor the trip, and I couldn't stand to see her cry. You did the right thing. Especially when you're a teenager, you don't want to disappoint a child who loses faith in her parents. Mia's not like that. She and I are very close, but there's still a generational conflict. What do you do? Me? Ethan squinted. I have my own flower business. You have seen, probably around the city shops fan. Are they yours? Surprised Linda. Yes. And by the way, I completely forgot. Ethan nodded to the waiter who brought their order. In a minute, the boy brought a huge bouquet of pink peonies of a wonderful color, which Linda had never even seen before. Sorry, I asked the guys to put them in water. Wow. These are for me. Linda was genuinely surprised, inhaling the fragrance of the flowers. How beautiful. I've only seen them in pictures. Don't tell me that your husband doesn't give you flowers. Squinted Ethan. Only duty bouquets on the 8th of March and birthday. Somehow we got it that way. By the way, it was because of flowers, and I thought that in my life something wrong. Michael said himself, there's no romance. Who's supposed to create it? Me? That's not a fair game. If you want, I could send you flowers every day. Just like that. Although Michael probably wouldn't understand that. No, he wouldn't. I'd love to get flowers like that, but I don't know how to explain it to him, but I'll take it. Don't worry. I'll think of something. I love peonies. I'm glad I pleased you. Smiled the man. By the way, do you want to go for a walk after the cafe? Maybe to the seafront? I've never been there since the renovation, but I used to walk there a lot. I'd love to. Linda nodded. You can see my old flat from there, by the way. We lived by the river, and I used to walk there with Mia. I haven't been since we moved. That's great. Linda looked with admiration at the bouquet, which she placed in a vase on the dresser. Michael believed her fiction that the flowers had been sent by a customer as a token of gratitude for 5 years of cooperation. Linda breathed a sigh of relief. She was already ready to listen to a profanity-laced stream of words, but she got around it. Ethan did not go out of her head. During the walk, Linda had become convinced that this man was not only comfortable to be around, but also had a lot to talk about. He could support any topic, even her boring estimates. And in general, all communication was as if they had known each other for 1,000 years. At first, Linda even thought they had, because Ethan still seemed familiar to her. But she couldn't have known him. The man had been born in another city and had moved here when Linda was already married. Perhaps his face had just appeared in the business bulletins around town, because Ethan's shops were quite popular. As she made herself more comfortable in the bed, Linda fell asleep. Michael was snoring away from her by then. In the morning, she heard the doorbell ring. The door was opened by Michael. He was already awake and cooking something in the kitchen. Lida was in no hurry to get up. She only heard someone come in. Did someone come to Michael's house? She thought through sleep. If it was for me, he would have called me. All right, I'll sleep a little longer. But the dream had passed. Linda reluctantly got out of bed, threw on some clothes, and quietly left the room. In the hallway, she immediately saw the familiar shoes. They were Isabella's. Linda was embarrassed. So she's the one who came. Why didn't Michael call me? Where are they? Linda froze and listened. There were quiet voices coming from the kitchen. The door was closed. The woman was surprised, but then she thought she just didn't want to be woken up. If Isabella wasn't in a hurry, she could have waited for her friend to get up. Except that she rarely came in without calling. That made Linda a little wary. Immediately, the thought that something was wrong popped into her head. Linda tiptoed to the door to hear what the conversation was about. It wasn't her habit to eavesdrop, but curiosity got the better of her. When are you going to tell her? Isabella's voice was quiet but excited. Apparently, she was pacing the kitchen. Isabella, don't rush things. I'm thinking, but I don't know how. I don't want to traumatize her. Linda's a dear person to me, after all. Dear? When you put the baby in me, did it bother you at all? You can see my belly soon enough. How am I supposed to explain all this? I may have been mean to Linda by sleeping with you, but I don't want to cheat on her any further. Calm down. I'll think of something. In fact, why don't you just tell her you've had artificial insemination? You guys had a conversation about it once. What if the baby looks like you? Do I have to tell her that you're a noble donor? Don't be ridiculous. You have to come clean. Isabella, she'll kick me out in a heartbeat. I don't want to leave at all. I'm comfortable here. I don't love my wife as a woman, but I respect her. We have a daughter. Mia will hate me. He respects her. Who's been whispering things in my ear, burning with desire? Is that how you respect your wife? I'm sorry, I've never been married, so I might not know something. Don't be sarcastic. We were both wrong. Yes, I like you a lot, more than I like you. But I'm not ready to leave my family. I'll give you money for the baby. Don't worry about it. I've given so much already. I can't even give Mia pocket money. But you're welcome. But don't pressurize me, otherwise I'll just say that you've made it all up for your own purposes and then don't count on anything at all. Oh, you scared me. Michael, by now we can do a DNA test and prove it's your baby. Don't be ridiculous. What century are we living in? Anyway, it's up to you how you explain this to Linda. If you wait any longer, I'll do it myself. She is such a person, she will forgive you if you confess honestly. The longer we hide it, the worse it will turn out. Linda stood there, trying not to move. What she had heard did not make sense to her. She bit her lip and slowly, trying not to make a sound, headed back into the room. So Michael and Isabella were sleeping together. Not only that, but she's pregnant. This is crazy. When did they have time? Always like cat and dog, and now. And anyway. How did Isabella get her hands on Michael? He's not her type. Not at all. What a friend. How could she do that? I can understand Michael. Even now he's admitted he has no feelings for me. But Isabella, I've always trusted her. Even more than I trusted myself. What am I supposed to do now? Should we all raise her together? It's a load of bollocks. On the one hand, I'm happy for Isabella. It'll be good for her. But it's my husband's child and I can't just stand by and say nothing. What do they expect me to do? Just accept it. They're targeting the wrong person. They think I'm a wuss and a pussy? I'll give them hell. Linda slammed the door noisily to attract attention. She immediately walked towards the kitchen. Michael was waiting for her at the door, a look of surprise mixed with fear on his face. Isabella peered timidly from the table. "Why are you making so much noise?" Michael asked, trying to kiss his wife on the cheek. "Yes, it's a drat," Linda replied grudgingly. "Isabella, what are you doing here? What are you doing here so early? And on your day off?" "Yes, I'm on my way back from a visit," replied sweetly. "I was close. I thought I'd stop by for a morning coffee. And Michael said you were still asleep, so we're just sitting here waiting for you to wake up. You gave us such a fright when you slammed the door. Scared when you have something to hide." Linda grimly decided and headed for the coffee machine. Isabella and Michael looked at each other in surprise. It didn't escape Linda's notice, and neither did Michael's slight squint or the tilt of his head that meant no. "What are you talking about?" he asked his wife. "Yes, they say that, don't they?" Linda laughed. "Why are you both so tense, or are you really hiding something?" "Oh, right. I've got it all figured out." Linda looked at both of them enigmatically. Isabella turned a little pale, and Michael's cheekbones turned jaundiced. "Come on, confess. You want to surprise me for my birthday, don't you? It's only a couple of weeks away. Why didn't I realize?" She laughed. Isabella laughed nervously, and Michael laughed back. "Man, I can never hide anything from you." Isabella said, "We're really going to surprise you." At least she's not lying, Linda thought, staring at her friend. And she's not even ashamed. "It's okay, I'll get you guys." And I blamed myself for starting to talk to Ethan, because hypocrisy is rampant here. And I'm still playing the naive fool. "Isabella, look." "You're getting fat," Linda said casually, sitting down next to her friend. "For as long as I can remember, I've always been like a pole, but here my cheeks have grown, and I've even got a belly. You're eating sweets out of nervousness, aren't you?" "You think so?" Isabella clutched her stomach worriedly, and immediately raised her hands to her cheeks. "Not that, it's noticeable. Linda, I thought I was overdoing it. The scales are still broken at home, and it's not clear whether I've got fat or not. But the mirror was telling the truth. Yeah, I started taking pills, and I guess I had a reaction." "What kind of pills?" Linda squinted. "Oh, just some vitamins the doctor prescribed. I've been walking around and I've been getting headaches. She said I'm overworked. I need to boost my immune system. And the vitamins are specific, I guess." "Yeah, it happens." Linda smiled. "I thought you were stressed out and you were doing it. You haven't told me anything lately." "Yeah, I don't have time. I've got a lot of work to do. I'm sorry, Linda." "Okay, guys, thanks for the coffee. I won't interrupt anymore." "Are you leaving already?" Linda was surprised. "We haven't talked in 5 minutes." "Yeah, it's time to go home. But Michael and I have also settled our big question." Isabella looked at Michael reproachfully. "It's not a good surprise, but we'll do it anyway. You don't know what we've cooked up anyway." When Isabella left, Linda thought for a long time about what to do. She wanted to teach her unfaithful husband and friend a lesson, but she couldn't think of anything. She had already decided for herself that she would not forgive them, at least not yet. With Michael, the only option was divorce. Linda was so tired of her gray and boring life that she just didn't want to drag it out any longer. The news of Isabella's pregnancy was the last straw when meeting Ethan. Linda hadn't considered a relationship with the man yet. Yes, she liked him a lot, but she didn't want to run into his arms after the first meeting. And what if he turned out to be a cheat or took advantage of her and immediately abandoned her? Such a scenario seemed extremely likely. But Linda was ready to take the risk. After all, she had nothing to lose. But to sleep together, even if they then immediately disperse, at least for one night she would be happy. But she didn't want to just silently apply. Mia would be back soon. How do I explain everything to her? She's a smart girl, she knows where babies come from, and she doesn't like Isabella. I didn't want the girl to overreact to her father's behavior. She loved him. And here. After dinner, Linda sat down on the sofa with her husband and pressed herself against his shoulder. "What are you doing?" Michael shuddered, not expecting his wife to show tenderness. "Michael," Linda said mysteriously. A plan had formed in her head. "There's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" Her husband became wary. "I don't even know how to begin. So tell me what you have to say. What's the point in dragging it out? We're not strangers." "Michael, tell me, do you love me?" "Here we go. Of course I love you. Where are you going to go? You're my wife. Do you love Mia?" What kind of stupid questions are these? She's my child. But then I want to make you happy. Linda's eyes sparkled. "Michael, I'm pregnant. You and I are going to have another baby." "What did you say?" Michael turned pale and even recoiled from his wife. "What? It's impossible?" "Why is it impossible? Aren't you excited? I always thought you wanted a son. Do you know the sex already? But we're not even sleeping together. When did this happen?" "I went to the doctor yesterday. To be honest, I didn't even think I was late because I was pregnant. I thought it was just my cycle being off." "Linda, we're not ready for a second baby right now. You know our money's tight." Michael was visibly nervous. He seemed to be calculating in his head how much it would cost him to support both children, his wife's and his mistress's. "I know this is going to sound crazy, but we have to make an interruption." "What termination, Michael?" Linda had tears in her eyes. "I'm 4 months pregnant. You can't do this." "Linda, I can't believe you didn't know before. I can't believe how irresponsible you've been. You know we don't have the money, we don't have the flat, and Mia is at that age. It's impossible. We have to think of something." "What are you going to do, Michael?" "I don't understand you, it's your child. You're suggesting I do a clandestine abortion, which will end up killing him and me. Why would it be clandestine? Why would we die? I'll arrange with a doctor I know, they'll do it at the hospital. They do abort at this term if it's life-threatening. But I'm not in any danger. It's just a formality, Linda." Misha jumped up from the sofa. "You don't understand what's going on." "No, Michael, no, I'm not doing any interruptions." "Fine, don't do it. But then we'll put the baby in an orphanage after it's born." "Are you out of your mind?" Linda screamed. "What orphanage? What is wrong with you, Michael? It's your baby." "I'm not so sure about that." What? Linda squinted. "What do you mean you're not sure?" "Linda, you and I don't have a close relationship. How could you get pregnant? Are you suspecting me or something? Shame on you. The timing fits. It was right after your birthday. Don't tell me you don't remember." "Oh yeah, you were drunk." "I remember everything." My husband grumbled. "How can you do that, just once?" "It's just that God wants us to have a baby. Don't you understand?" "I don't care." Michael clutched his head. "Don't you get it? A second child is a huge expense. I can support him on my own." Linda pressed her lips together. "What are you talking about? My salary is enough for me and him. Mia's on your budget. Or are you giving up on her too? Or do you have something or someone that takes the lion's share of your income?" "Michael, I know exactly how you're doing. And I'm not asking where you're spending a few thousand a month to bypass the family budget. And don't lie to me about business. Do you take cash withdrawals and put them somewhere else? I don't know, maybe you have a stash in your mattress and you prefer to save a little bit in notes. I'm not getting into this, but you know, if you keep this up, I'm just going to leave. And you will never, ever, ever see your children again. That's it. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Linda, we need to calm down. You just shocked me with this news. I need to come to my senses. Where are you going?" Linda followed her husband. "I don't know. I need to go for a walk," mumbled Michael as he put on his trainers. Aha, Linda triumphed to herself. 100% to Isabella. I wonder what he'll say to her. It's a game changer. How will Michael get out of this? She hit the big one, the money. The funny thing is, Isabella's not going to let it go. She's going to get her alimony anyway. And she's going to make it look like such a scandal. And that bastard hasn't even mentioned a second child, even though he could have told me all about it. Well, I'm not really interested. The main thing is that he's twitching and Isabella's going to worry. Man. I feel sorry for her. Pregnant women shouldn't be nervous. I don't care. They weren't thinking about me. Why should I think about them now? In fact, I'd really like to see Ethan right now. Linda texted the man. He replied almost immediately, and Linda asked him to call her back. Is something wrong? Ethan asked worriedly. Ethan. Yes, something happened, Linda sighed. I think I'm getting a divorce. Oh my God, how can that be? Yesterday everything was not so categorical. Or did you make such a decision after talking to me? I didn't think I was capable of such a thing. No, you didn't. Linda laughed. It's different. Why don't we meet tonight? I'd love to. I'll be off in about 2 hours. Would that be convenient? Yeah, let's meet there then. Okay. Linda was standing outside the cafe when Ethan drove up. He flashed his headlights at her, and the woman got into his car. The man kissed her on the cheek, which sent a shiver through Linda's body. Well, what was so interesting? He asked. You know, I found out by accident. Well, remember I told you about my friend Isabella? That's the one who persuaded you to start paying attention to other men? Yes, Linda nodded and took a deep breath. Anyway, she's pregnant with Michael's baby. What? Ethan was surprised. I thought you said they couldn't stand each other. That's what I mean. I do not know when and where it all happened. But she's already 5 months pregnant. And apparently after the housewarming party, they were having a nice chat in the kitchen. I guess that's when they hit it off. I don't know the details. I overheard them talking in the kitchen today. I also blame myself for thinking about cheating. Isabella wants Michael to tell me everything, but he won't. The funny thing is, I told him this afternoon that I'm pregnant too. You should have seen the look on his face. He said all sorts of things to me. Then he went off to Isabella's, probably. He wasn't even back yet when I left. They're both nervous now. Are you pregnant? Ethan looked scared. No, of course not. Michael and I do not sleep at all. I convinced him that all this happened after his birthday, when he was drunk and doesn't remember anything. Oh, I see. So what, you're getting a divorce right away? What's the point of dragging this out? I've put up with this whole life together before, but now I'm sick of it. I'm betrayed by 2 people who are close to me at once. I feel sorry for Mia, but I'll explain everything to her. I just don't want her to hate her father. Now I'm thinking about how to get revenge on Isabella. Revenge is a dangerous thing, Ethan said thoughtfully. But I don't even want to take revenge, but to teach her a lesson. Now I feel betrayed and angry with her. But objectively, given her attitude toward the children, she has already punished herself. If I loved Michael, then yeah. Now I'm just angry. But I know that he will not abandon the child, and they will not have a relationship anyway. Michael's a decent guy, and he'd give his last penny. Even the way he reacted to my pregnancy today, it's only natural. I can only imagine how he was calculating the costs in his head. What's the best way to teach Isabella a lesson? I don't know. She loves money too. She loves it so much. But I can't do anything about it. And as far as I know, she doesn't have a man at the moment. She could at least try to steal him away. That's sneaky. You don't look like you're capable of anything like that. Listen, what if you and I put on a show? You say Isabella's into men and money. Let me meet her, start courting her. And when things get serious, you'll accidentally steal me away from her. Are you serious? Linda laughed. It's all a bit childish. It's quite serious. I'm attracted to women. But not every one will be to my liking. But what if Isabella does? She's beautiful. What then? Who would be the fool? Me again. I won't like her, even if she's 3 times beautiful. It's not about beauty. She's a rotten person. I'll never look at someone like that in my life. So you're worried about me getting stolen? I'm not worried. Linda blushed. It's just that I really like you and I'm sorry to give you away. Linda, you don't have to give me away. I'm not a thing, and I'm not in over my head. And I'll tell you right off the bat, as an adult to an adult, I really like you. That's where it's appropriate to say you like me. I'm not counting on anything, and I won't pressure you for anything, but I just want to help you as a friend. Can we be friends now? My life is boring, and a play like this will at least give me some fun. I don't know, Linda thought. I don't really like it. How do you see it? Isabella knows a trick when she sees one. Well, you can imagine it for me. I'm a good actor. My ex-wife taught me. She used to do this kind of tour. Okay, Linda waved her hand. You got it. When do we start? Tomorrow. Give me her address and a picture of her. I already have some ideas. Linda was looking at pictures on her phone and showed Ethan Isabella. Yes, she's beautiful, the man nodded. But you can tell she's a predator. I've always avoided her. Shall we get started? I'll visit her tomorrow. Michael was acting aggressively. Linda fought with him several times in the evening. Apparently, Isabella said something that really pissed off her husband. But there was no way for Linda to find out. She preferred to lock herself in Mia's room and not cross paths with her husband. She took the bouquet of peonies with her. On Sunday, Michael left for work, saying he was very busy. Linda called Ethan and asked if he would be implementing his plan today. The man promised to let her know later what had been done. In the evening, they met again. Ethan looked cheerful. Yes, she's a real piece of work, your girlfriend, laughed the man. Tell me, come on, don't keep me waiting. Linda was impatient and curious. In general, took her today in his shop a luxurious bouquet of 101 roses. Women are usually crazy about those. You've seen them, right? They come in these beautiful buckets, red as blood. It seemed to me that Isabella liked them just the way they are. So I drove with all this stuff to her house. I waited for a long time, like 2 hours. I didn't even know if she'd come out or not. And then a miracle happened. I was distracted by the phone, and out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that a woman was coming out of the entrance. I looked closely, and it was her. Well, I immediately got out of the car with these flowers, caught up with her, and stuck her this bucket. She looked at me with her eyes bulging, standing there, not understanding what was going on. And I said to her, "Girl, I'm sorry, but I've got a problem here. My girlfriend left me. I brought her flowers, but she refused. She found someone else. And I don't want the flowers to go to waste. So I sat down to look for someone to give them to. And as luck would have it, only mothers with children up to their grandmothers. I wanted to give them to a beautiful girl. And then you come along. So I almost fell down. I realized at once that I was in the right place. Don't be impertinent. Take them." What about her? Linda was surprised. At first she was confused, of course, but then she squinted and took the flowers, saying I should take them home. And she thanked me. So I waited for her to come out again and persistently approached her. I said, "Girl, you'll forgive me, but I'm conquered. I've never seen such a beauty. Would you consider it an honor to meet her? I've got a reservation and I'm missing a table at the restaurant." So she said yes. I could tell she was hesitant, but something clicked. "And you've been to the restaurant?" Linda asked. "Yes, I took her there. We had dinner, had a very nice conversation. She even told me she was pregnant. She said her husband had left her and found someone else. Well, we mourned over our common grief, chatted about this and that. I asked her out again. I said, a baby's not a problem. I've always wanted one. And since I liked her so much, I'd be happy to continue getting to know her. And she said yes, of course. Naturally. She especially liked my car. I didn't drive my crossover, but another sporty one. Well, Isabella's eyes were burning. It's obvious that she had all the prospects in mind. So now it's just a matter of making her fall in love with him. Well, here, unlikely to succeed, Linda said disappointedly. Isabella has never fallen in love with anyone. She is a purely rational person. She is guided only by benefits. But she dreams of love. So let's give her that love. Well, I don't know how you'll do it, of course. Just trust me. With that, Ethan pulled Linda to him and kissed her. The woman's heart pounded desperately. What are you doing? She was embarrassed, but she didn't pull away. It's a sign that I'm serious, and that you have no doubts. In the meantime, I suggest we have dinner somewhere. Hopefully not Isabella, not your husband. We won't be caught. They chose a quiet, cozy restaurant. For the rest of the evening, Linda kept her eyes on Ethan. She felt everything inside her become airy and light. This had never happened to her before. Linda was working on her computer when her doorbell rang unexpectedly. Opening the door, the woman saw an extremely agitated friend. "Isabella, what's wrong? Do you need to know? I can't hold it in any longer. Are you alone?" "Yeah, Michael's at work, and Mia's not flying until tonight. Come on in." "Linda, I'm gone." Isabella rolled her eyes dreamily. "Missing where?" Linda squinted. "You know, I met a man last week. And it's like a fairy tale. He gave me a huge bouquet, like the most gorgeous thing ever." "Oh, you've got something to be happy about. You've had a lifetime of flowers, but what's the use?" "No, Linda, this is different. He just walked up to me in the street and handed me these gorgeous flowers. I thought it was a joke at first, but he was persistent. He'd just broken up with his girlfriend. He asked me out on a date. I felt so bad. I said yes. I just fell head over heels in love with him. Name's Ethan. He's got his own business, sells flowers, drives a luxury car, owns his own house, and is divorced. But none of it matters. It's the first time I've ever felt like my man was destined to be my man." "Yeah, okay, did you have a relationship with him before?" "No, that's the thing. He's so gallant. He doesn't push, he doesn't rush. He's so handsome. He's very interesting. I'd love to have him in my apartment. You should see how handsome he is. But I'm afraid of scaring him off. It's always like that with me. Once we sleep together, they run away, or it stays that way. I won't let that happen. And it's not about money at all. Believe it or not. I'm really happy for you." Linda hugged her friend, happy that Ethan had managed to fulfill his promise. "Listen, can we come to your birthday party together? I really want to show him to you." "Would Michael mind?" "Michael?" Isabella was surprised. "What's he got to do with it?" "Well, he doesn't like you very much, and now you're bringing a date. You know, an extra mouth at the table. He's a cheapskate who counts every penny." "Oh, that Michael of yours. If you want, my Ethan will organize a whole banquet for you. I can ask him." "Don't. You'll really scare the man. A banquet is not a bouquet, especially not yours, but your friend's. It's okay. I'm setting the table, not Michael. So come by, sure, I'd love to meet your Ethan." "Great." Isabella kissed Linda on the cheek. "We owe you an awesome gift." "Isabella, don't charge him, please." "What are you talking about? What's he got to do with it? I wasn't thinking he owes me a bouquet. It's no problem at all. I can buy my own presents. Besides, it was my quarterly bonus." "Okay, you got me." Linda smiled. "You're getting chubbier and chubbier, by the way. Are you taking all your vitamins?" "Oh, don't say anything." Isabella blushed. "I'll be pregnant soon." "Well, I'm off. I still have things to do. See you later." Lita locked the door behind her friend and laughed. She immediately dialed Ethan. "Ethan." Linda laughed into the phone. "That's it, the fish is hooked. Now Isabella was at my place. She swears that she fell in love with you to death. And everything's going smoothly and sweetly between you two. Linda, I hope you're not jealous. We never had a thing with her, and we never will." "Yeah, I know. She told me all about it. She can't wait, but she's afraid she's going to miss out. She's holding on by her wits. I don't know what you're doing to her, but it's awesome. I'm expecting you two for your birthday this weekend. We'll do it then. I've already drawn up the divorce papers. All I have to do is hand them to Michael and put Isabella in her place." "That's great. What are you doing today?" "Mia's coming back today. I'm going to meet her, and I want to tell her everything so she doesn't get the shock of the holidays." "Okay, I won't interrupt. I'll just keep working on your friend." By late afternoon, Linda was on edge. Michael took his time getting home from work, but that was to her advantage. She wanted to talk to her daughter alone. Mia was brought in by Oscar's parents. The girl flew into the flat, excited, flushed. She kissed her mother and chattered non-stop. When the girl had calmed down a little, Linda called her into the kitchen for tea. "Mia, I need to tell you something," she began delicately. "Mom, just don't start lecturing me. I'm not pregnant. I've behaved properly, and Oscar and I are fine. Thank you so much for helping me with the trip. I would have suffered so much. Emma Walsh has a thing for him, too. And Oscar is such a wingman. Baby, this isn't about you, even though you had something to do with it." What is it? Don't tell me Dad's broke again, and we have to move again. No, I mean Dad's broke, but in a completely different matter. What's that? Mia's eyes popped out. Mia, you're an adult, and you're not being unreasonable. Please just accept it and don't despair. What's the matter? Did he file for divorce? No, Mia, I'm getting a divorce. What? My daughter's eyes widened. Why would you do that? I'm sick of him. I'll keep it quiet. Anyway, Aunt Isabella's pregnant with Michael's baby, and they're keeping it from me. And I told your dad I was pregnant too, but it's not true. I just wanted to annoy him. Now he's hardly ever home. Of course he does, 2 pregnant women. Mum, we have to do something. I'm already doing something. The issue with Dad is settled. I'm filing for divorce. I can put up with a lot of things, but not this hypocrisy. You can talk to him any way you want. I won't interfere. After all, what happened is between me and him. It has nothing to do with you. And I'm asking you to stay out of it. If you come back from the divorce and you're back from him, he'll be devastated. Michael is a good man and a good father. I just don't want to live with him anymore. Wait, you're just giving him to Aunt Isabella. What about love? What love, Mia? Linda sighed. We never had any. Just routine and comfort. Let him live as he likes. Isabella doesn't need him, but we can't let her get away with it. Well, darling, don't worry. The plan to punish her is already in motion. Let's hear more about it. Mia's moving in closer. What plan? Mia, I met a man. Linda's blushing deep red. A man. Mum, you're all red. Don't tell me you're in love. I guess I am. Linda smiled. Who's the man? His name is Ethan. Very nice. You'll see him on Saturday. Is he coming here? Mia collapsed. Yes, but you're going to have to play along with me. You see, Ethan was the one who figured out how to teach Isabella a lesson. Now he's doing everything he can to make her fall in love with him, and he's succeeding. Isabella came running this morning to tell me she's in love. Okay, I don't get it. If they're in love and you like him, how is that even possible? It's an act, Mia. Linda patted her daughter on the head and told her her plan. Well, Mum, I didn't expect this from you. Look, don't be sorry. But Dad, I don't even know how he's going to act. He can do what he wants to do. I don't care anymore. When Michael returned home from work, his daughter showed nothing of herself. She was a little more reserved with her father. There weren't many guests. Linda set the table, put on a beautiful dress. Mia hung balloons and tinsel everywhere. Michael tried to pretend that he was happy with what was going on, but from time to time he glanced at his wife, trying to see her protruding belly. Naturally, he saw nothing, which made him even angrier. Finally, the doorbell rang. It was Isabella. Ethan stayed behind, holding a huge bouquet of peonies. Here we are. Isabella was glowing with happiness. Meet Ethan, the man of my dreams. Michael stood red as a cancer and looked hatefully at Isabella, at her companion, and at the flowers. But Linda quickly tried to ease the tension and invited everyone to the table. Mia watched Ethan with interest, occasionally glancing at her mother, and smiled meaningfully. It was obvious that her daughter liked the man. When the fun was in full swing, Linda noticed that neither Isabella nor her husband were at the table. She approached Ethan and invited him out on the balcony to admire the view. It looks like everything is going according to plan. Ethan smiled. I saw Isabella go to the bathroom and Michael followed her, and they've been gone for about 10 minutes. Apparently they're working things out. All we have to do is wait. I warned Mia, and most of the guests are gone. The ones that are left aren't really interested in our marital bliss. So can I kiss you? Linda smiled, and without waiting for her consent, he gently took her chin and pulled her to him. Linda didn't know how long the kiss lasted, but it seemed infinitely long. She felt even more pleasure at the anticipation of being caught like this right now. Linda. Michael almost shouted. What are you doing? Isabella's voice broke into a shriek. We. The woman looked closely at her husband and friend, pulling away from Ethan's lips but remaining in his arms. Kissing, can't you see? We can see that. Michael was outraged. I'm asking what the hell is going on here. And I'm wondering. Isabella glared at Ethan and her friend. How can I explain it to you? Ethan began confused. Love is happening here. What else can you call it on sight? Yes, Linda smiled. I would call it that too. No, you've got a nerve. Michael continued to shout. Not only are you doing this, but you're making fun of us. Linda, are you ashamed to kiss the first guy you see in the marital home? And you, honorable man, are you so drunk that you mistook your woman for mine? No, sir, Ethan mocked him. You confused your woman with mine. What are you talking about? Michael shouted, pulling away from Isabella, who was ready to lunge at the embracing couple. About what's under Isabella's breasts. Linda squinted at him. Who exactly? Isabella and Michael looked at each other. The woman went dramatically pale and the man blushed even more. Did you know everything? Isabella asked her friend, pressing her lips together. Yes, she nodded. For a couple of weeks now. You came in the morning and I overheard everything. But why, then, didn't you charge me with anything? What would I say and what would I hear in return? I wanted you to realize what a despicable thing I'd done. But you never even loved Michael. Yeah, but he's still my husband, and you had no right to use him. Wait a minute, Michael interjected. You mean Linda was aware of everything and acted so calmly? And now what, like your baby? There is no baby, Michael, Linda replied. I made the whole thing up to see how you'd behave. And you, believe me, proved that I made the right decision from the beginning. The right decision. I questioned my husband. Yes, we're divorcing you. All the documents are ready. I'll tell you right away that with Mia, you see, I will not interfere. She is already aware of everything and will live then with me, then with you. Thank your daughter for not hating you after all this. Divorce? Michael's eyes widened. Yeah, what did you want? I don't want to live with you anymore. I realize you're not going to be so comfortable right now. Linda sneered. But it's better for everyone. All right. Well, make it clear to me, what does Ethan have to do with this? Why did you come? Isabella asked in a tired voice. She had lost a lot of weight, but under her pink bodysuit she could see a well-shaped belly. Isabella, I need to talk to you. Linda smiled guiltily. She hadn't spoken to her friend for 3 months since her birthday. Well, come in now that you're here. Isabella moved aside, letting her guest inside. Isabella. Linda sighed heavily and looked her friend straight in the eye. I came to apologize. For what? The woman grinned. For that play. I don't care. It was my own fault. I should be the one apologizing to you. Your husband made a baby for me. How's he doing, by the way? Not so good, to be honest. I haven't seen him since the divorce. Mia sleeps over at Michael's every day. Thanks to her. Without his daughter, he'd be out of his mind. How's he treating you? Well, he puts money on my card. But I'm going back. I don't want anything from him. I make a good living myself. I decided, as you advised, to have a child for myself. I'm being punished by karma for my consumerist attitude to life. The baby, you know, Linda, I didn't want it at first. I thought I'd get rid of it, and then I used it to manipulate Michael. And then I met Ethan, and it was like I had no more real feelings. It changed everything in my head. How is he, by the way? Good, he gave you flowers, but I left them in the car. I didn't know if you'd open them or not. I'll get them. Don't. Isabella smiled faintly. Isabella, it's from the heart. We collected the bouquet especially for you. No, you don't understand, laughed her friend. I'm allergic. Even indoor plants all move to my dad. I don't want to see the baby. Really? Linda was surprised. You poor thing. Linda held her friend tightly and felt her shaking with sobs. What are you doing? Questioned Lyda. How not to cry. Isabella sobbed. I did not think that you are such a kind aunt. Well, how can such a trash like me forgive and even hug here to stand? And don't forget I'm hormonal. And both women laughed. Ira, when's the baby due? Linda asked, munching on the cake that her friend had baked in the morning. It's delicious. I never realized you were such a good cook. Thank you, Isabella smiled. While I'm at home, I'm learning. And how will the baby look at me later? Yes, in 3 weeks the doctor says so. Oh, I'm so scared. What's there to be afraid of? 1 million women give birth, and you're no worse. But I'm old. Have you even heard that the government wants to raise the age of old age to 36? So you don't even fall into that category. What are you talking about? Isabella looked at Linda suspiciously. Yes, it's too early to say, but the woman hesitated. I haven't even told Ethan anything yet. But I took a test this morning and I got 2 stripes. Oh, come on. Wow, you guys are fast. You've only known each other for a little while. How long? 4 months. Yeah, I know it's not that long. But we're adults. We don't have time to make mistakes, and look. I can feel myself drawn to him. And he's attracted to me. You told me yourself that without love a woman is unhappy. And now I feel loved and needed and wanted. I really had no idea it could be like this. What I saw with Michael and before him, all the men before him weren't serious. And then I was struck by lightning. Yeah, I went through something like that with Ethan myself. It's a different kind of energy. I can't imagine how his ex-wife could pass up such happiness for some guy in Dubai. Lucky you, baby. Of course I'm jealous. I can't argue with that. There's still something about Ethan. No, it's not love, of course. But I had a huge crush on him. I've never felt anything like it either. You know, I'm done now, and I'm done now, and I'm done. I've got a lot more feelings to experience now. I know what it's like to be a mother, but soon I'll really understand. I'm happy for you, mate. Lita kissed her friend on the forehead. And anyway, it doesn't matter what happened there. Let's be optimistic about the future. By the way, your son will be my Mia's brother. Do you realize that? Shit. You do, don't you? Isabella was surprised. I hadn't even thought of that. So we're related now? Yes, we are. Linda laughed. And Mia will not be laughing now, 2 brothers to bring up at once. Mia's going to be so happy she's going to whistle away. You and I can manage on our own. All right, Isabella, I'll go. I'm going to stop by the gynecologist to make sure the test is accurate. And then I'll let Ethan know. Let me know too. Don't forget. I love you, Linda. You're the best woman in the world. And I love you. I don't care what happened. Linda sat in the dark kitchen of Ethan's city flat. They usually went to the country house for the weekend. It was more convenient to live here to get to school faster. Although the girl often stayed at her father's house, but Linda still thought of her first and foremost. Ethan didn't mind. He and Mia quickly found a common language. The girl even showed an active interest in floristry and often came to the central shop fan to learn this craft. Linda clutched tightly in her hands a sheet of paper with a picture attached to it. When the light came on in the hallway, the woman flinched. Ethan also flinched when he entered the kitchen, turned on the light, and saw his woman sitting in a chair. Linda, he said, pretending to hold his heart. Why are you sitting in the dark? Why are you home anyway? Mia said you 2 were going out tonight. Mia and Oscar went on a bike ride. Oh, for a bike ride. They're closing out the season. I went on a business trip and I'm back now. Your own thing? What's that, I wonder? Ethan squinted. And it does not explain sitting in the dark. What is this paper you have? And this, Linda caught up. Ethan, they told me to give it to you. Jesus, Linda, why is the tone so mournful? You scare me? Who told to give? Stork. What kind of name is that? I've never heard it before. And you look at it, you'll recognize it immediately. Lita handed the man the ultrasound results. He ran the text several times with his eyes, twirled the image, and looked silently at Linda. Nothing to say? Linda opened her eyes. I can't read handwriting. Ethan blushed. It's from the hospital, I get it. An X-ray or something. Jesus, are you serious? Linda laughed. X-ray. Vanya, I'm pregnant. You and I are going to have a baby. I've heard that somewhere before. Michael was also played by you. Just so you know, there's nothing to avenge. You're a fool. Lita gently stroked the man on the head. Ethan, I'm serious. You and I will have a child. You see, all somehow quickly so, but it's true. The man's eyes lit up. Really? God, baby, yes, this is the best news of my life. I couldn't even dream of this. Ethan picked Linda up in his arms and started kissing her cheeks, forehead, and eyes everywhere. Linda laughed and tried to pull away. What kind of fun is going on here? Came Mia's voice. Ethan and Linda froze and looked at each other. Well, you tell me, winked the man. Linda nodded. Ethan gently lowered her to the floor. Linda walked over to Mia and looked into her eyes. Baby, just don't make a scene, the mother said seriously. I know that in families there is competition between children, and the older ones are often jealous of the younger ones. Well, it shouldn't be like that in ours. Mom, are you all right? Mia touched her mother's forehead to check for a fever. What older kids, what younger kids? I'm kind of on my own. Aunt Isabella's having my half-brother soon, though. Is that what you mean? Almost. Mother laughed. Aunt Isabella has a brother and I have a sister. Well, perhaps it's too young to tell the sex, but somehow I think it will be a girl. Mum. Mia's starting to get the message. Are you saying you're having a baby? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. No way. Mia shook her head. And you are good, Ethan. What do you mean? You're going to put 2 babies on me at once. What traitors? Mia laughed loudly. Linda laughed, and then Ethan laughed, too.